taxidermy. You.
That has nothing to do.
You son of a bitch. I pay taxidermy. All right, stop it right there. All right, I'm going to... This ridiculous. This is... I don't know. Sarah, come on. We're not trying anymore at this point in time. So you with that bullshit, yourself. That is a lie right there. That is 100% lie. Am I wrong?
No.
Okay, I've got some facts. It was and in the final post of this, I will screenshot that shit and put it right there. I've got it screenshotted, but I'll put it right there for everybody to see. That's not a response. That's a shut up, American. Then dipshit decides, oh, here's an opportunity. I'm going to be the big guy on campus, and I'm going to address this. Fine. You name me by name, I'm coming swinging. Facts, not this bull fence builder, petro guy, biltong hunter shoot glass up in the lodge. Welcome to Saltlick Sessions. Strap in. The adults are done pretending.
Very nice.
Yeah. Yay. All right, folks. Tonight we've got Rob Conyers from C&R Custom Brokers with us. Rob, welcome to Saltlick Sessions podcast.
Hey.
All right, so just so everybody knows, Rob is exactly the guy we needed for this conversation because he deals with a specific part of the safari industry really nobody talks about, when they're pouring brandy and drinking around the fire. It's the back end, it's the paperwork, it's customs, it's trophy import side, U.S. Fish and Game side. The part where the American hunter is already paid the outfitter, already paid the trophy fees, tipped the staff, already flew home and happy, and then 6 months later, bam, first invoice comes in and is this, then it's plus that nobody tells you ahead of time. So we've got Rob here to help break that down. In addition to that, Rob also hunts Africa. Not just South Africa, Rob hunts Africa. And for the most part now, it's been north of the South African line, if I'm not mistaken.
It's
about 50-50. So, and Rob's one of those guys that brings a lot to the table. So not only does he understand from the broker, from the import side, but he also understands it because he's got boots. So getting into that, Rob, if you will just give us a little bit of background before we shit out of these assholes and tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Let's see. It's just telling you, I started hunting when I was 4 years old. Yeah, obviously in North America, but I started hunting in Africa about 20 years ago. I think it was my first trip, and took my kids. I've been back dozens of times, I don't even know. I've been to hunted 5 different countries in Africa. Was supposed to hunt 2 others, but they kind of got canceled somewhere along the line. I've hunted all over the world. I clear trophies, obviously, but that's just one of my businesses because I also deal with live animal imports and shipping all over the world. And I'm not talking your dog and your cat. I'm talking everything from rhinos to elephants to sea lions, you name it. So I'm very familiar.
Bongos.
I have moved bongos.
Let me get one.
I know just the guy.
What are you going to name your bongo?
Mike.
Nice. That'll be a stud bongo.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
So I've done that. I've been highly involved with the legal side of hunting and importing and animals and management in the United States as well as some others abroad. I've done talks and submitted papers to CITES and to the IUCN and some other things. I've done studies. I've worked with FWC, U.S. Fish and Wildlife, and others on all kinds of things. So I know the ins and the outs and all the underbelly of a lot of this crap.
Yeah, Rob. So Rob has been doing my. He's done all of yours.
I just went and picked up my first.
He's done all of yours.
Yep.
Creswell's, I think, is at your shop today from last year. But I've been, I think, 10 years straight. You've been doing my stuff. And the great part about your operation, it's never up one time. Not one time. Prior to us moving to you, problem.
Well, up one time because you had a shipment show up with a permit.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot
But you got your shipment.
Oh, yeah, we got it. Yeah.
Nobody's sending that shit back.
No.
Not when it comes to me.
No, so yeah, but Rob's kind of my go-to guy, right? So when we're talking about CITES and other shit, and I want to kind of deep dive in it, he'll go down rabbit hole quick. And plus, he's pretty outspoken when it comes to some of these Facebook posts, and he's not afraid to tell people, what the actual truth is, and he's not going to mince words. So, but that's so let's talk about what brought us here. So everybody knows at home what the hell we're talking about. This whole started with 2 separate posts. It wasn't a hit piece. It wasn't anti-South Africa. It wasn't a don't go hunting there. It was 2 posts. And the first post said that South African hunting has gotten so expensive that even South Africans are getting priced out of their own hunting culture. Static image. And it had a biltong hunter on one side and an international hunter on the other. And son of a bitch, the comments we got on that and went off like crazy. And I'm like, holy shit. Like that's the thing people don't understand with us. People reach out to us constantly, whether it's WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, whatever. And it's not outfitters necessarily. It's not just American clients asking about South Africa. It's people within South Africa that are following us saying, hey, what about this? What about that? So I feel obliged to bring the topic up to the rest of the world. And holy shit, that started shitstorm. And to our benefit, that post was fair. We didn't take, I didn't slam South Africa anything. My opinion was the same in that I do believe South African biltong hunters are getting pushed out of their own market. They can't even afford to hunt. Now they can, but it's getting so expensive that they can't do it like they used to do. And so that was the point of the post, and I wanted feedback. Yeah, we got feedback.
Say we touched a nerve would be an understatement.
Yeah. So this whole thing, it was the comment section, it went full baboon chainsaw, like instantly. So then that led me to people are calling bullshit on it, right? That they're not getting screwed. So what I did is I published a side-by-side rate comparison showing what trophy fees look like for a biltong hunter and trophy fees look like to an international hunter, regardless of where it came from. Trophy fees, apples to apples, not apples to oranges, not apples to grapes, apple to apples. And that really set people off. Now, you can clearly see the line in there where it stopped being biltong hunters commenting and it started being industry people commenting. So a couple days go by, right? And now, granted, I've committed a massive crime in South Africa because I talked about biltong hunters and kind of stuck up for them and then showed some transparency and I posted some pricing. I actually posted my sources too, and I think we had 20-ish legitimate sources that we pulled from. And we kicked a lot of them out because they're bullshit. They didn't have the rates on there or something. Then the Sarah video came. So, and Sarah's video matters because it wasn't a drunk comment for random guy, right? Sarah has got a great personality. I know Sarah personally. I've spent time with Sarah in South Africa, both at Misty Hills and Kedar. We spent about a week together. She's been on the podcast several times. We've talked. We've known each other for several years, and I really think highly of Sarah. She's a good voice to have in the industry. However, that's not what came out of Sarah's mouth when she posted a video we're about to show you guys. So it was a nice video in that it was very polished. It was, soft lighting, green screen background. And I also want to say, before we get into this isn't personal, Sarah. You just happen to be the one that's going to catch the shit end of this to start with, and then Dylan's going to get his too. But, tonight we're not going to judge Sarah as a person, but we're going to judge the talking points for what they are. With that said, let's jump right into the Sarah video. So, Michael, you got it keyed up over there, ready to go? And so we're going to go through this one by one. So I'm going to go through her talking points, and then we're going to stop, and then we're going to respond to those talking points to the camera, Facebook Live for the world. Y'all ready?
It sounds like for once I'm going to be the least offensive person in the room.
Welcome to the Saltlick Sessions podcast.
Up your game, pal.
I'll work on it.
All right, Michael, hit the first one.
Recently, a particular individual has been crying about the fact that foreign hunters pay a different rate to South African hunters. I want to start off by saying we are so grateful for all our foreign hunting clients. They have greatly added to the success of the wildlife conservation model. Thank you for enjoying South Africa and sharing in the experience with us.
Stop there. So that is, now listen, that first comment, she wanted to thank everybody, and I think what she says was, we as international hunters, and I'm I'm actually quoting directly, that we have greatly added to the success of wildlife conservation model within South Africa. Thank you for enjoying South Africa and sharing in the experience with us all across the globe. So
Actually, her first comment was that you were crying about it.
that is true. I can go back and address that because
You being the certain individual.
yes, yeah, rather, yeah,
You were crying about it. You weren't just stating a fact.
right, with a static post.
She hadn't met me yet, otherwise she would have said that strapping,
Oh, yeah.
handsome American elderly guy, maybe a little chubby, but still pretty good.
Yeah, that's true. So, so the first point is I agree with everything she said. International hunters have funded the South African conservation model. Without international hunters, I don't think South Africa would have been able to do what they were doing. But
I'm
Here we go.
going to object to that because I don't think it's a conservation model. I think it's an industry model. It's a business model. That's all it is. Quit with the damn conservation bullshit. Stop it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I've been hunting for 56 years. I have never sat at a breakfast table and talked with fellow hunters about the conservation we were going to do that day. We talked about going out and killing. We talked about going out and hunting. It's not about conservation. I conserve for hunting. I don't hunt for conservation. I will conserve a game species, and they put those species there, not for conservation of the environment, but because they could make money off them. So stop avoiding it and trying to paint it with this veneer of altruism and environmental concern. That's not it.
And we talked off camera before, like what you said. Everyone's afraid of saying things that are maybe abrasive to a non-hunter or an anti, and that's where I think this comes from. Is they're trying to satisfy those people, and it's really not honest to what we do. And I want to go pull the trigger, and when I pull the trigger, I hate to say it like this, but it's the truth. Hopefully, something dies.
Well, let me ask you, you've taken plenty of trips, you've hunted with plenty of guys. Has anybody ever wept over an animal that they killed?
I wept over one I missed.
Has anybody stood there, a serious hunter, stood there and said, oh, I'm so overwhelmed with emotions?
I actually, not me personally, because I don't have any, I don't care. But what the hell was her name? The giraffe.
Renee.
Renee. Yeah. She let the waterworks go when she
But
saw the giraffe.
that was like tears of happiness. No.
No, I bet it was.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, but I'm saying, and see, one of the problems with social media is we've been forced into this thing where we all are supposed to stand over the animal and make sure it's presentable and respectable, and that we have this morose look on our face, like we're really sorry we did this, but we did it for a noble cause. Bullshit. I enjoy it. There have been more people attracted to hunting. I don't know anybody in South Africa who's wandering around while you're on a hunt talking conservation. They aren't. They're asking you if you want to shoot that.
No, 100%.
Michael, go ahead and hit it again.
All across the globe, foreigners pay different rates for different activities. In our national and provincial parks, foreigners pay a higher daily rate than a local.
Stop right there. I want to get into this a little bit because I have an issue with this.
I do too.
Okay, would you like to go first, sir?
Sure. This came up over the last few days over and over and over, whether it was the national parks in South Africa or it was the argument of out-of-state versus in-state. It is not the issue. None of the places we're hunting in Africa are national parks. We're hunting private land. We're hunting farms. And to say, well, it's the same as the United States where you pay, me as a Florida resident would go to Alaska and pay an out-of-state fee. Correct. But that's not, our game management is not the same as Africa's game management.
There's a specific reason for that. And that's that in the United States, this is aside from her comment, which I'll get to in a moment, but in the United States, the animals in the wild are actually held in public trust. Mm-hmm. They belong to the people of the United States as a whole. However, the management of each of those wild game animals is delegated to the state.
Right.
So when you're not a resident of that state, then you have to contribute to the management, whereas a resident of the state in his taxes contributes to it.
Already is.
So that's why there's the differentiation between out of state and in state. But I will say this much to you. There is not a further fee for a foreigner.
Correct.
A foreigner coming to the United States pays the same fee as an out-of-state person because, and this is something that they don't understand, and one of the reasons why we as Americans always find this objectionable. Most people do, until they realize it. But I don't particularly, because I've done this, but I just like them to be honest. But here's the reason why we find it objectionable, and that is that we're not allowed to do that in the United States.
Correct.
Okay? Because actually being foreign born is a protected class under the Civil Rights Act. We are not allowed in public accommodation or in business to charge someone a higher price because of the national origin.
Absolutely.
That would absolutely be against the law, and you would be sued out of your mind over here. So they can stand there and say, our foreign hunters pay a higher price. You, in your business here, can't charge a foreigner.
Legally cannot do that.
You cannot do that.
Codified.
That's correct. Try and do it. That's why our states, and particularly it particularly says in establishments where you're housing or feeding a public have to have public access, and you cannot have differentiation in prices. You cannot be discriminatory prices based on a protected class. They don't understand that.
Right. It's obvious from the day's worth of comments. They surely don't get that, because we saw ad nauseum the same argument over and over and over.
Right.
And, from some people were just being, I guess you could say, honest about it. Yeah, well, the Americans pay more. And then other people say, oh, no, well, it's because we were giving you more service. And then, there was a big spectrum of it. But to your point, they don't get why it bothers us.
Right. Well, and it's like my comment to Sarah in the comment section.
I'm going to get to that. Hold on that real quick. That's coming. I've got that right here. Let's move on. Michael, hit the next one for us.
I want to use the United States as an easy example when it comes to foreign hunters. Now, in South Africa, our minimum wage is 30 Rand and 23 cents an hour. In the United States of America, the minimum wage is $11.80 an hour, with one of the states being over $17 an hour. This means that a full day's worth of work for a South African is an hour's worth of work for an American on minimum wage.
Stop it right there. All right, so this is the classic gotcha American rich.
Right.
That's what that is. And that has been trotted out every time like clockwork. And it's usually by somebody who's clearly never met an actual American in America and seen what we go through just survive. And I've got this. So let me introduce South Africans that are watching. Let me introduce you right now to your foreign client. He's not George Clooney. He's not Jeff Bezos. He is not a finance bro. He's not a trust fund baby living off money. He's not flying in a Gulfstream sipping a 25-year-old Macallan. His name is Dave. You know what Dave does? Dave welder. Dave wakes up at 4:30 a.m. every day. Dave's hands look ground beef. Dave's truck has 250,000 miles on it. Dave has been saving for this trip since 2010. His wife knows the exact dollar amount that he's going to spend. His daughter knows not to ask for new soccer cleats this year because it's not budget. The dog probably knows. People, Dave is your foreign client, not the cast in Succession. And by that logic, every American should pay more because we earn more per hour. If that's the case, then why, when we go to South Africa, do we not pay more for every single thing that we purchase? And I'll give you an example. We stop at the Pick and Pay. How much do you pay for a Coca-Cola at a Pick and Pay?
I have no idea.
It's the same as a South African, right?
I'd hope so.
You don't see two prices when you walk in there, do you?
Not that.
Okay. How much do you pay for a tank of petrol in South Africa?
Oh, I don't know. It's 30 Rand per liter or something like that? Whether I'm me or her or whoever.
So that's kind of the point, right? So that whole argument horseshit. We have beat this to death over the course of nearly 3,000 comments in 2 weeks.
Yep.
With over, as of today, almost 5 million views. This shit right here is the one that really chaps my ass. So go. I had my say.
So, yeah, there was a comment the other day, and somebody, and I don't know who they were. I don't know whether they were an outfitter or just a South African with national pride, who said, literally, every American that comes to South Africa to hunt is affluent. Every American that comes here spends money that a South African could not spend. And that may be true. But to say that we're all affluent, like you said, I mean, how did you meet me? I was a charter boat captain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wasn't exactly, showing you my portfolio and
When I first started going to South Africa, I had to save to be able to afford a $7,000 safari.
Right.
Save. Not for a couple months, for 18 months prior to going to make sure that I had enough to get it covered. Now, my financial situation has changed since I started going, but business is that. It doesn't matter. In the whole rand to dollar exchange, it does exist for a reason. But that's not to bend foreigner over salt house and put it in their butt. That's not why.
But it's also it's not a fair comparison because so that's how much we make and that's what the exchange rate is. But how much is an acre of land in South Africa?
right.
How much do you pay for an acre here? The cheapest land you can buy in Timbuktu here is well over $1,000 an acre.
Oh, that doesn't exist in Florida.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking in the United States.
Anywhere in the United States.
In the United States. I'm talking about buying land in Kentucky or New Mexico or out in the desert.
We were just there in Kentucky, and land that was a few $100s an acre a few years ago is now $1,000. They're asking $1,000, $2,000.
Yeah, what was $600 an acre
Right.
back when I bought the farm is now $3,000
Yeah,
an
because
acre.
I was looking at 200 acres in Kentucky.
Yeah, we talked about it. Just not far from us, yeah.
I'll tell you to that point. The first year that Sean took me to Africa, it's 3 years ago now. We're in the airport to go home, and I'm sitting looking at this sign for a breakfast. And it is like a Denny's Grand Slam monster breakfast with eggs and sausage and potatoes and beans and like a giant plate, right? And I was looking at the price in rand, and I was sick. It was like 59 rand. And I did the math, and I was like, oh my God. Like, excuse me, there's a couple of dollars.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For this giant box.
Yeah, but it's, one of the things that they don't understand is that, yes, we do that here, but we have that here. But our income tax is significant. And on top of that, let me ask you, what are your property taxes on your house per year?
Oh, shit. Here in Okeechobee alone, it's I think it's $7 or $8 grand a year in Okeechobee. If you were in the city of Okeechobee, that'd probably be 15 grand. Where y'all live, I don't even know. I can't imagine what your property tax is.
It's a lot.
Okay, let me tell you this much. I've lived in the same house for 30 years. 30 years. I bought this house 30 years ago. I pay property taxes on it still to this day. Do you guys understand that over there? Probably not.
Right.
But my property taxes are $6,000-$7,000 a year. What are your property taxes on this stuff? What are your actual expenses? They're commensurate with your standard income in where you live. You know, it's like dealing with guys in South America, and they'll say, "Oh, you're rich because you've got a big car." Yeah, you have 4 servants.
I know you've got something because you've been working over there, so I'll hand it off to you in just a second before we move on. One thing I'll say too, when PH's outfitters come here, our PHs and outfitters that we're friends with, we go out to eat at a restaurant or something. They look at the bill, they're like, I don't know how you guys can afford that. How can you live here?
Sure.
It's cost of living is we can't live on $20,000 a year. The cost of living provides that we have to make a minimum fee to live. And I'm not talking going out. Go to McDonald's. Go buy the 4 of us a number 3, a 4, a 5, and a 6. You just spent $80 US. Folks, do the math real quick. $80 US. The current exchange rate as of today was 16.31. Somebody fact checked me on that, but I'm thinking pretty close. You guys would golden goose egg.
Oh, yeah.
They would lose their shit. That's a McDonald's. KFC, you're going to spend more than that.
Yeah. What are you paying for a Hilux?
Right.
Right.
But let's talk about what you pay for a Hilux in South Africa versus what one's going to cost you here.
So, Oscar, you had something. You were doing the math.
Oh no, I mean the math is going after our, what we make an hour. Like the average house that I'm about to buy, but the average house in the United States is 440,000.
Yeah.
So that's 7 million rand at 16 at times 16.
Right, not
so
18.
what does that buy you?
Yeah, exactly.
I just checked Zillow. It's quite a lot.
Yeah,
But I'm buying 2,100 square feet.
Right.
Zillow works in South Africa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, there's Zillow everywhere.
Michael, hit us with the next one.
I don't have to sit here and tell anybody how powerful a lot of foreign currencies are over the South African currency. It also then gets me thinking about the USA and saying, well, for those universities, if you're out of state, you want to go to a university in another state, you have to pay more than $20,000 extra every year just because you were on the other side of the neighborhood.
All right, stop it right there. All right, I'm going to... This is ridiculous. This is... I don't know. Sarah, come on. We're not trying anymore at this point in time. Let me explain something to you. We'll use Florida as an example. A Florida kid. That kid sitting right there, that's my son that y'all can't see on screen. That's Michael.
Hi, Michael.
He's our Jamie. That's Michael. Michael lives in Florida. His family, i.e. me, have been bleeding tax money into the state of Florida for 4 years. Now, he can go to the University of Florida, a state school.
Yep.
State school at a different rate than somebody from out of state. You know why?
Because you've been paying into the system.
I've been paying into the system, and for 18 years before he was even eligible to go to university, I'd been paying for him to go there.
It's the same principle that Rod brought up before about managing game in America. It's the same type of concept.
But here's the thing that they fail to understand. Okay, yes, that's what an out-of-state kid would pay. What would a South African pay?
The same
Same as an out-of-state kid. There is no international rate difference, and that's exactly what I was getting to. And there's a reason for it. Because the out-of-state kid that's out there right now that's not from Florida, he and his family have not paid a single goddamn dime into the system.
Right.
They should pay more. We'll get into hunting licenses here in a minute, which is the exact thing. There's a reason for that. But this floored me. The fact that's the best that you can come up with.
Yeah.
You got anything? Because you look like you were stomping around right there.
Well, it's not the neighborhood. It's the completely other state. It's not like, oh, Steve lives a mile down the road.
Let's get
It's
him.
like, no, his whole family is a plane ride away, 3 hours away. What are we talking about?
Yeah.
But again, we're comparing apples to crocodiles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anything we're talking about here in terms of hunting.
If they were talking about this, then we would have to have a different price for somebody who lives in Zulu Natal, who lives in the Eastern Cape, who lives in
Correct.
in
Every
Limpopo.
province, yeah.
If people from different provinces paid a higher price, that's a fair comparison to our state-to-state comparison.
Right.
Not
Agreed.
foreigners.
Michael, hit the next one.
But we're getting attacked. We already offer the best animals for the bare minimum price. We are one of the best hunting destinations in the world. We are the cheapest hunting destination in Africa, and Africa is one of the cheapest hunting destinations in the world. So I think the message that I want to share with this foreign hunter is that it is a shame that they are devaluing our
Okay,
animals.
stop right there.
Did she forget your name?
She didn't want to say it.
So I'll start with...
Wrath of Sean.
I want to start with minimum, okay? Because she, and to quote her, we already offer the best animals for the bare minimum price. Bare minimum, which means if it's the bare minimum, if you give somebody a discount of grand, that means you're losing money, correct?
Right.
Okay.
That's a disingenuous comment.
What?
How altruistic of these people.
She has very pretty eyes, though.
So, and directly to Sarah. Sarah, with all the love in my heart, that is the most outfitter-coded sentence I have ever heard spoken into camera phone.
Well, I'm gonna correct her too, because no, you're not the cheapest hunting destination in the world. No, you are not. I can tell you right now, you are not. You know how I can tell you that? Because if you, okay, Sarah, come from South Africa right now to Miami, I will take you down to Bass Pro Shops. We'll get you a hunting license, and I'll get you a permit to go hunt cypress. You know what other fees will be involved in that?
All.
None. You go out there, you hunt a whitetail to your heart's content. I don't even have to be with you. You don't need to hire anybody. You can pick up the maps. You can go out there by yourself, tromp around. You can have your gun without anybody being with you. And if they tell you you can't, call me, because I'll get it cleared through customs and I'll hand it to you. And you can go walk around the cypress, and you will pay nothing but, what is it, $200 for an out-of-state
Yeah, something like that.
deer license for 7 days? Yeah, so you're not the cheapest hunting destination in the world. The United States is the cheapest hunting destination in the world because we are one of the only countries that actually has public access land.
So and like I said, this all started with the biltong thing, right? Sure. So my question went to then if bare minimum implies there's no fat left to trim, right? That every dollar covers actual operating costs, that if you shaved it down even by $1 the whole operation collapses like a cheap 10 on a windy Bry day. Okay, that's fine. But then explain the local biltong hunter to me then. Okay, so if we are already the cheapest, then explain to me why my published and cited data, cross-vetted or cross-checked and vetted for the same animal, the same property, the dirt, why is the local paying half?
Yeah, the excuse always comes out that they're shooting the seconds, but that's not always true because they have trophy
fees, which are substantially less than foreigner trophy fees.
Right. And listen, it all comes back to because you can. Mm-hmm. And if Americans don't like that, then don't tell us we're wrong for not liking it, because it's our culture to say all people should be treated the same, and we just want an honest answer. Right. Listen, if you're going to jack up my price, jack up my price. If I'm a willing buyer, that's fine. But we've discussed it before. I've been going to Africa for 2 decades now. I've hunted all over the place. Listen, to anybody out there who's going to Africa and you think something's beyond your reach, everything in Africa is negotiable. Don't let these guys tell you it's the bare minimum. It's all I can take. That's all crap. That's all crap. When I first went over there, a sable was $10,000. $10,000 for any sable when I first went to Africa. Oh my God. I mean, back then I was operating on a budget of $4,000 for my hunt.
Right.
I had $4,000 for me and $4,000 for my kid, for my son. And we were the only two hunting. My daughter and my wife could not hunt because I couldn't afford it. So we went over there. We did that. And I asked about the sable because it's a beautiful animal, right? $10,000. I thought, oh, cripes. I'll never be able to afford that. I told Sean, I was just in Zambia last year before. They were begging me. They kept lowering the price if I would shoot more sables. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't a quarter of a $10,000 sable.
I had a similar thing 2 years ago or last year with a roan. It started at $9,600, and I said, no, it's not my budget, not this year, not yet. And by the time it walked away, it was $6,000. So don't talk to me about bare minimums.
Yeah, well, and that's it. So if that is true, though, if it's bare minimum, so one of two things has to be true. Either the local hunter, the biltong hunter, is being subsidized by the international hunter, which means Dave, the welder from Pittsburgh, has been buying drinks for the bar, even though he didn't know about it, or the international rate is fat with profit margin. One of two things must be true. Or the third thing, the bare minimum is bare minimum. The bare minimum is probably much closer to the biltong rate than what we pay.
Yeah. I'm sure that's the case. Of course that's the case. We're all in business here. All of us here are businessmen, and we want to make a fair profit. But the old saying that we have here in America is that pigs get fed and hogs get slaughtered. Eventually, when people like us all raise the same question, like, "Hey, why is this going up so much?" and I don't understand this. It just doesn't make sense. Now, We all admit things are getting more expensive. Fuel is more expensive. They got this silly ass conflict going on. It all adds to the cost. Not the trophy fee, though. That should be in our day rate. Our day rate should go up commensurate to what's going on. And if they say, oh, our expenses are higher, you know, this is higher, it costs more for this or that, then that can go up higher. But to play with the animal, with the trophy rate, as an unscrupulous business person, I could make a lot more money if I do that. If I jack every animal up now, instead of $200 more a day, I can get a couple grand a day from me with an itchy trigger finger.
Michael, hit us with the next one.
That they view South Africa and our animals as cheap when they are actually some, if not the best, wild animals in the entire world. What is happening and what is being said is shameful, and we do not deserve it.
Stop it right there. Okay, Sarah, you need to pump brake, sister. Not one time did I call an animal in South Africa cheap. Not in one post, not in two posts, not in a comment, not in a DM, smoke signal. I've never said South African animals are cheap. Go ahead, search everything. Pull it up, screenshot, send it to me. I'll eat my words. Never have I said South African animals are cheap in the context that she is using.
I'll go beyond that. South African animals aren't wild. So you're telling me those are the best wild animals
Behind a high fence?
in the world? Not only that, where'd you get the bloodstock? Where'd you get the broodstock from? Where? Oh, you're buying them from game farms that they're breeding them so that you can have your 52-inch kudus, so that you can have this and that. I invite you to go to Mozambique. Go down the Zambezi River. You find me a water buck that's anywhere near that size in the actual wild of the ones you find in South Africa. Yes, they're magnificent. I don't doubt that. But the same thing goes, ask a cattleman, where are you going to find the best steer? Is he going to be out roaming around? No, he's not. Is he going to be the offspring from some feral cows that have been let off in the Montana wilds for 3 years?
He's going to go to a breeder that has a good broodstock.
Oh, yeah. And then he's going to stock his land with them, and so they're going to be there. And do you feed them? Do you drill boreholes so that they can have water to drink? And are they behind a fence? And do they automatically run away every time they see a human? No, they're not. So let's not get into that. It's a business for you guys.
I want to just point this out. This particular section here that we just talked about with Sarah, this is the one that got a little pissy in that somebody that I know responded specifically to that portion of it. He may be sitting in the studio right now, and her comment to him after he responded to her was, shh, not, okay, I've got some facts. It was shh. And in the final post of this, I will screenshot that shit and put it right there. I've got it screenshotted, but I'll put it right there for everybody to see. That's not a response. That's a shut up, American. I got nothing.
I tried to be an adult and didn't tell her, don't shush me. But, for once I was an adult.
You got anything on that?
She responded to your comment with universities, which is, we're not even talking about that, so I don't know what that is on there. And then she hit him with the shush.
Yeah, she hit me with the shush.
Who are you, Mr. Playing Client? I thought in the beginning she was like, we love you. Thank you so much for providing.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't her family in game breeding as well?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They'd like to be a little bit.
Yeah.
Mr. Particular.
The one thing I want to say too is shameful. If it's all of a sudden shameful for me to ask a legitimate question about the cost of something, then apparently I'm an asshole.
Well, my response to Sarah was, listen, I don't care. Just don't give me the excuse. Just tell me the truth.
Right.
If you're doing it because you can and you want to make money, that's fine. I don't walk into a car dealership and blame the guy because he hits me with a sticker price.
Right.
Yeah.
I start negotiating from there. I haven't paid sticker price for a car in my entire life.
Oscar's got a guy, by the way.
I'm a nightmare at a car dealer.
All right, let's get into Dylan's. Do you have Dylan's keyed up a little bit? So, and I want to talk about this, Dylan. Now, let me set this up for you. So, Sarah gave us a roughly 2-minute green screen gem, but Dylan gave us 42 minutes. He gave us director's cut, right?
42 minutes of my life I'll never get back.
I've heard that 100 times this week. However, and to be fair though, Dylan says a few responsible things that wasn't all completely horseshit. And he did say that the industry is defensive of itself. We can all agree that. He says people put their guard up when we talk about this. That's also true. He says that honest conversations need to happen. I think all of us can agree.
We're having that.
Uh-huh.
I hope to think we're having
So
that.
great, right? So I said a few honest things. Those were them. That was the extent of 42 minutes. Then he spends the rest of the episode, right, proving exactly why this conversation is necessary. Because Dylan's entire podcast, it can be summed up like this. Here's why I'm going to answer the question. Then it was conservation, household income, American wages, elk hunts, Utah mountain lions, rural economies, petro attendants, hilarious, local hunters drinking on bockies, broken furniture, 3-month seasons, outfitters buying quotas. And 40 minutes later, the actual admission finally came out.
Right at the very end.
Right at the end. South Africans get a completely different price, and he doesn't think anything's wrong with that. So before we get to that last one, we're going to go timestamp by timestamp here. We're going to start with the first one. Michael, you got the first one keyed up?
Keyed up.
Hit us with it.
A point. It would be to say that South Africa has one of the greatest conservation models there is in the world. And for over the past 50 years or so, wildlife numbers have increased dramatically because game has become economically valuable. We've added a commodity to our country and we've made it incredibly valuable commodity. When landowners could generate income from wildlife and they had a reason to invest in habitat, fencing, anti-poaching efforts, water infrastructure, breeding programs, and long-term conservation. So
Okay,
that's a
stop right there.
conservation model, right?
Okay, so firstly, the argument, I have no argument that says South Africa may be the greatest conservation model in the world aside from ours. I think ours is the greatest. I think they did a very good job, but it's not 1980 anymore.
But is it a conservation model or is it a commerce model?
Can I finish?
Commercial model.
Can I finish? So these, if you look back at the stats, and somebody please fact check me, I'm not perfect, but in the 70s there was a report that came out that says there was less than 200-ish thousand wild animals left in the entire country of South Africa. They started high fencing everything, and now there's several million there. So my point is, they've done their job. Now, we also had an individual that we're not totally fond of anymore on our podcast once upon a time who said, listen, we got to stop talking about South Africa as a conservation model. We've already done that. We've conserved the animals. Now it's resource management. Now it's a business. Stop telling people that. Do you remember who that was?
I do.
That was Randy Vestrot. And he still may be on FASA's board. I'm not sure he's on the XO anymore, but he was then the vice president of FASA that said that. I believe that is true. But going back to this, what do you guys got to say about it?
It is. It's an industry. That's what's so funny is that anytime they try and do this virtue signal crap, where look at the conservation, you're not environmentally conscious. You're not. You're putting animals on the landscape and keeping them there because they're making you money. We had that conversation about what's happening to the world's salamanders. I'll bet there ain't a single person over there raising kudu who knows a damn thing about what's happening with salamanders across the world. No, of course not, because they're not environmentalists. They're not actually worried about conservation per se. We're not sitting around the table in the morning having breakfast talking about what we're going to conserve. Neither are they. They're not talking to us about it. It's nothing but a virtue signal because they're so used to defending themselves online to non-hunters and anti-hunters. And let me clue everybody in. There is no concession you can make to an anti-hunter or an animal rights advocate that will garner you any favor. They hate you. They hate what you do. I went into this with somebody you've had on this podcast once before, talking about elephants and management of elephants and whatever. And I said to them, they said, "Oh, that's unethical. It's immoral. I can never do that." It's not. And then I said, "So what does an ethical hunt of a lion look like?" "Oh, well, I couldn't do that." "So what's the ethical hunt of a kudu look like?" "Oh, well, no, if you're an anti-hunter, there is no such thing as an ethical hunt to you. There is no such thing as an acceptable hunt to you. Period. It doesn't exist."
We are, and it is evil in their eyes, and there's nothing that we can say or do to convince anybody who's an anti-hunter of anything different.
Correct. And the truth of the matter is that the 90% of the public who is neither hunters or anti-hunters can be swayed either way at the blow of the wind. So don't be concerned about whether or not they're going to be convinced to go against you, because you can just as easily convince them the other way.
Well, and I'll go back to the conservation. It's conservation. I don't give a shit what show you go to. Every PH, every outfitter, every salesman, it's the conservation pitch. It's conservation, right? You know what the more truthful statement is? That every PH tells you once in country, if it pays, it stays.
I remember hearing that statement and laughing my head off about it.
True. If it pays, it stays.
That's business. I'm going to conserve the species so that I can use it into perpetuity.
Right.
But that's not conservation anymore. That's a business model.
Yes, but what it is not hunting for conservation. It's conserving to hunt.
Right.
I'm not going to kill every whitetail on my property so that I'll have some next year, so that my kids will have some, so my grandkids will have some.
And I know you got something to say, but the one pushback I'll give Dylan obviously we just pushed back on the conservation thing. The South African model of conservation is not the greatest model of conservation in the world, by the way.
If it was public, there'd be public land abounding with wildlife. There is not.
I'm not saying ours is perfect,
no,
by any stretch of the imagination.
It's not only that. What animals are they actually putting out there? Are the actual native indigenous animals all that's being introduced and kept there? No. Not by a long shot.
Just look at the animal list in Namibia compared to the animal list you can hunt in South Africa. And that's when you talk to a South African about, I'd like to go hunt in Namibia. Namibia is actually very reasonable to hunt. But you know what? They only have 10 or 12 different options to hunt. Well,
go to Tanzania. Go to Mozambique. Go someplace where there are no fences.
Well, but to your point, look at any price sheet that's available on whatever farm you're hunting on. How many of those animals were indigenous originally to that farm or that location without high fences? How many of those animals were actually there?
Maybe half a dozen.
Maybe half a dozen kind of
Correct.
thing. They didn't exist there. Don't give me this conservation bullshit when you bring animals in. That would be like saying a Texas rancher, right? A high fence rancher saying, "Oh no, we're conserving bongos." No, you're not. Make you money.
No, they've created a menu.
Yeah.
And they've catered to the tape measure and leather and chrome hunters over the years. And now, when just your regular Joe goes over there, and they think that we're all tape hunter, right, leather and chrome guys, who I want to sit in the back of a truck, better be comfortable, or I'll sit in the air conditioning, and I'll tell you what, you call me out and I'll climb in the back and shoot whatever it is when we get to it. And I'll pay you whatever you want. I want a 60-inch kudu. Right. So how much do you want for that? But you're going to guarantee it to me.
Right. It might be at a 10-acre paddock.
But hey.
Yeah.
That's a conversation we are going to get into before we get rid of this. Oscar, you had something. I'm sorry.
No, I want to get back to his statement. Because how can you conserve something? Conservation means that it's limited. And we need to grow more of it. And then it becomes a commodity in the same sentence. So no one's conserving corn.
Yeah, but it's a renewable resource. That's the way that animal husbandry and this entire thing. Because understand, this is a husbandry operation. It's not wild animals. It's not Yosemite, where there's just animals free ranging out there. This is a husbandry operation. They're bringing in, and they know that they're going to have 15 hunters that are going to come in, and they're going to take off X amount of kudu. They're going to take off X amount of this. So what they're going to do is go buy them from a farm and make sure that every year they have that amount bred.
But that's my whole point of just like, if you're saying this is conservation, look what you're doing to conserve all of this, and then you're saying that, oh, well, it's also a commodity. Well, like the two can't live in the same place.
Yeah.
How can you say that? Like, oh, well, there's a limited amount of kudu, but then I can come in there and be like, oh, well, shoot all of them. Like,
Right.
how does, what are you talking about?
We're gonna hunt alligators in the STAs. That's public land, right? We're gonna conserve those. We're gonna conserve them so that they're public land. I go over to Immokalee, to the alligator farm, I can shoot as many as I want because it's a commodity.
Can we just say what it is? These high fence ranches, whether it's in South Africa or in the U.S., livestock.
Absolutely there.
It's livestock.
That's exactly what they are.
It's animal husbandry.
Yeah. Livestock. Just say what it is.
And there's nothing wrong with business.
Now,
there's
listen,
nothing wrong with
listen,
the
and
business.
there's nothing wrong with. I'm going in 8 days. I can't wait to a place that's high fenced. It's 55,000 acres. It's fair chase, I guess, more or less. But it is. Those animals belong to that landowner. They are essentially livestock.
Yeah, that's the other thing is that if you want to compare the prices on animals in a Texas facility, a privately owned facility, then you can compare it to Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But you can compare public hunting and those types of things here or anywhere else.
Well, that we're going to get into that here in just a minute. Michael, make sure you let us know that if you get any juicy comments in there, let's make sure you stop us, in between one of these breaks and let us know.
Some guy just said, call him.
Robert Skinner, they dropped his number.
No, that's the guy we just spoke.
I guess he
All right.
got tired and wanted you to call him.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of busy right now, Robert, but I appreciate it. I'll shoot me your WhatsApp.
We're seeing your comments. Just
Yep.
ask your question.
Yeah, ask your question. Literally, if you guys got a question, if there's a topic you want us to talk about, ask. Michael's right there. He'll hit us in the breaks. Is there anything else noteworthy up there, Michael?
Not really.
Anybody cussing, screaming, yelling, hollering?
Staffin said it sounds like a bunch of crybabies over there.
Bunch of crybabies.
Oh, all right, that's fair.
Okay.
All right, hit us with the next one.
Please excuse me, I will be reading this. According to recent research from the Northwest University, South Africa's hunting tourism industry at the moment contributes roughly between 44 and 45 billion rand. That is probably close to around about the 16-17 billion dollar range to the South African economy year in and year out. And this was from news.nwu.ac.za. But that money gets spread. It gets spread across various different...
Okay, stop it right there.
That's
I guess division.
The math was off a lot.
It was that was poor math, Dylan. You don't rely on Chat GPT or whatever. It was a Claude or whatever. He actually said that in a portion of it. I've got all this from AI, and it was great because we can use AI now. Yeah, you may want to fact check that shit before you just. Yeah, AI can be wrong. So
Division must be tough.
South Africa's hunting tourism industry contributes roughly 44 to 45 billion rand. Of that, locals.
It's $2.8 billion, not what he said.
Right. So, and local hunters contribute to roughly 13 billion of that.
Right. A third.
Okay. So, with that said, that proves my point. We are the ones funding this shit show of yours. The foreign hunters, much smaller group, carrying much less of the financial burden and load that we are. Nobody can say contrary to that. So let's stop dancing around it, right? What I said before, if it's a subsidy model in that we're subsidizing the biltong hunters, say it. Don't dance around it. Say it. Be honest about it. What do you guys got to say before I keep diving down this rabbit hole?
I kind of want to use the word offended, but I don't want to sound like a little,
You're going to be offended with the next clip.
Yeah, I know. I watched the whole thing, but it just to say that the biltong hunters are being allowed to hunt at a big loss to the outfitter is such a pile of horse shit. You know what I mean? Forget the fact that we found lists of the South African trophy cost for which is less than ours as well, and again. If you want to say it, justify it, charge us, but don't charge us through the animal and then say it's because of conservation. Don't charge us from the animal and then say it's because of the price of pHs, the price of fuel, the price of the laundry service, the price of food. We pay a day rate. It should be reflected there. Like I said, I'm going next week. It is still a pretty good deal. It really is. And I love going there. And I like a lot of the people that are there. But this whole scramble to make excuses for why it's just disingenuous. And I just raise an eyebrow and I get suspicious,
Well, and the math actually doesn't say a third either, that it's much less than a third. We fund 90% of it.
Yeah. No, of course. But that, again, that being said, even if we funded 2/3 of it, the disdain that we saw this week for foreign hunters by South Africans.
Well, I got that coming too.
I got called a pussy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, on account of...
I'm not a pussy.
You are what you eat.
So says you.
Well, then I'm a lesbian.
Oh, boy.
We're in trouble.
Michael, hit us with the next one. Oh, he was not ready.
And we also know now between 8,000 and 9,000 American hunters come in and they spend, say, half of the 44, they spend upwards of 20 to 30 billion rand per year. But here's where it gets, so I wanted to break it down on what this meant economically and why there is such a price difference. The median household in the United States is around $83,000 per year, which works out to roughly 1.5 million rand per year at the current exchange rate. South Africa recently reported that the average household income is 204,000 rand per year, so you can see the massive amounts of difference. The average American household is earning approximately 7 times more than the average South African household. And in many cases, the international hunters visiting South Africa are not average earners. Okay, so the normal average...
All right, the first thing I want to point out, we earn on average 7 times more than they do. The exchange rate is 16, 17 to 1, so that math also doesn't work out. The however is, okay, granted. But this is the part that should piss everybody off. I don't give a what country you're from other than South Africa. This should piss you off. Because we make more, we should bear the brunt of the cost associated with hunting in that country. Not because that whole argument pisses everybody. That was the one argument that everybody kept calling me on. Like, this was literally just said this to everybody. Post video.
Yeah,
and
it's the same thing Sarah did. Yeah. You make so much money. You make this amount of money. The Americans make this amount. What does that have to do with the cost of goods and your profit margin? Tell me what the cost of goods and the profit margin is and why you're differentiating between customers. It doesn't make any sense.
No, none whatsoever. So last year when we left camp and drove back to Joburg, a PH drove us, not my PH. And in conversation, he made the comment to me, and I'll never forget it, this is exactly what he said. You Americans have way too much money.
Of course.
And this was after spending a week there and dropping a lot of money, hunting at this camp. And I was infuriated. I kept it in. I didn't say a word. I tipped him for driving us. I wanted to stiff him, to be honest with you, but I tipped him because it's what you do. And I was shocked.
Yeah, well, it's like I've said, I've said before, okay, what's the Saudi rate?
Right.
I know there's Saudis who go over there and hunt.
Sure.
They make a hell of a lot more than I do.
Yep.
Do you
What-
charge them more?
Yeah, I know there's a bunch of guys that cater to the Russians. The wealthy Russians. What do they pay?
Huh. So
Oscar just pulled up a stat. I was thinking about this. We were talking about, cost of living and homes because Oscar just brought it up. So a typical upper middle class home in South Africa, not in Joburg, in an actual nice area, is going to run somewhere between 110 and 275,000 USD. Okay, that same home in Florida, for example, starts at $600,000.
But we're all rich.
But we're all rich.
yeah, we make 7 times as much.
We need to, because we can't buy a shitty house. Now, I had a comment. There was a comment. It was a great comment, and I actually put it in here. Guy responded he saw the Dylan thing, and I saw this. He said, he said that you Americans earn more. That means you're not pricing the product, you're pricing the passport. That was a great comment.
That's a great comment.
That's right. And like I said, one of the problems is they don't understand. In their country, discriminatory pricing is legal. Here it's not. So for all of this throwing how much Americans make in our face is not going to do anything but anger us. Because to us, we've been brought up to think you don't treat people different because of where they came from.
Right.
You simply don't.
As a consumer, as a client, as a person who's going to use this resource and use this service, and it is a service, I kind of can't believe they have that attitude.
Right, and to that point, it would be far different if you just sit down and say, okay, let's just be adults. And the fact of the matter is, we charge this much to foreign hunters because we can.
It's what the market will bear.
It's what the market will bear. If that's not acceptable to you, I'm sorry, you'll need to find someplace else. And why do we give the guys here a much cheaper price for the same product? Because we can.
Right.
And we favor them. And if you don't like that, take your business elsewhere. I can handle that. But instead, they want to just say, oh, it's conservation, it's you make more money, it's you do that. Don't give me the excuses. Give me the truth. The truth is fine.
Yep. Absolutely.
Michael, hit us with the next one.
Number would represent for a South African family. Because if outfitters charge every South African hunter the exact same rates as international clients, a massive portion of local hunters would simply be unable to participate in hunting. And if local participation disappears, eventually the hunting culture disappears with it. That means conservation efforts might change. The young hunter disappears, the farmer's son disappears, the future PH disappears, the conservation-minded local family disappears, and at the same time, international hunters are bringing foreign income into South Africa that supports jobs, conservation areas, game ranchers, farm workers, skinners, trackers, taxidermists, and rural economies.
Okay, stop it right there. I'm going to say exactly. He's not wrong there. The international dollars do support a bit of that. But reading between the lines, we're going back to American hunters are subsidizing the South African hunting culture. That's what he just said. Yes. That is exactly what he said. And there is no defending that one way or the other. It's not trophy value. It's not service. It's not conservation. The foreign hunter is carrying a part of the local system. And the foreign hunter deserves to know what he's doing before he writes a check. And he doesn't deserve lied to or, the bait and switch bullshit and be read the sob story. Sure. Transparency. Be transparent and go.
I mean, the whole thing is just say it. That's all fine. But to this, okay, as a businessman, all right, you're running a restaurant, you're running a store, and you want to give the locals a lower price. That means you have too much inventory. They want to brag about these animals that they're bringing in and how many of them they have. But if you're forced into a situation where you have to sell excess at a diminished rate, according to them, it's a losing rate.
Right.
According to Sarah, according to him, they're selling these animals at a loss. Okay? So if you have so much inventory, you have to sell a bunch of it at a loss, maybe stop breeding so many.
Well, and I'm going to call bullshit right then and there, because what farm owner or outfitter have you ever met in South Africa that's going to run at a loss? What business person in the world, much in South Africa, what business person in the world, Oscar, is going to run at a loss?
I don't know. Listen, if the whole thing was like the movie Margin Call, we are selling to willing buyers at current market rate. That's fine. 100%. Just say it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the issue is it's been smoke and mirrors for a long time.
Yeah.
And again, you can't paint a broad stroke and say that the South African outfitters, that the South African landowners, there's good and bad in every group, So there's guys that are charging more. Like I said, I've been doing research. One outfitter charges $150 for a baboon. One guy charges $1,200. I think that's hilarious.
One guy gives it to you for free.
One guy gives it to you for free. Same thing. Same thing with jackals. Where I'm going next week. Shoot all you want. They're free. He's got sheep. He wants a
got him up the ass. Yeah.
Last year I shot one. It was $350. They didn't go look for it. I still got charged. A little chapped about that, but whatever.
I was there. True story.
But you actually were. Never mind. But so you can't paint broad strokes, but cohesively, everybody over there seems to be of the same mind of, well, it just is what it is, or, you just got to pay more. And they've all adopted the thing that they're just going to jack up the animal prices instead of jacking up the day rate and separating it out. So we can look at it like a businessman and say, I want to see a spreadsheet of what your fees are. You know what I mean? It's very simple and it's very kind of convoluted, and that leads to a little bit of distrust. And maybe Americans are pretty distrusting people, but when you seem like you're double talking and giving different answers, and I hear conservation, and I hear it's fair, and I hear we're not making any money.
You made a good point that we're going to touch on in a little bit, because I've got something at the end to kind of pull all this together. So, Michael, hit us with another one.
You have a juicy comment over here that you might like.
Okay, hit us with it, buddy.
It says, stop hiding the fact that historically this industry has been created to cater for American/European hunters. We created this system. It's worked well. Where there was once no wildlife, there are abundant levels of wildlife and no encroachment of communities destroying habitat. The Americans created it, so it's fair to pay and fund it.
Okay, and I will agree that, it's supply and demand. We created a demand. They've got the supply of it. That's fine.
It's exactly what I said with the chrome and leather hunters.
I don't have a problem with that statement. I think that's pretty
accurate.
Yeah, pretty accurate. Yeah. Though I will say that the whole idea of what most people get sold is the idea of the Ernest Hemingways and that old school safari and the 5-star lodges and this and that and all the other shit. That doesn't really exist in South Africa. You're getting sold a bill of goods there, folks.
And I'll tell you, that's a very true statement, and that's fine. Yes, this is an industry that you're catering to the Americans. You're catering to those guys with carrying a measuring tape in their pocket. Well, I'll get that. Then quit with the conservation bullshit.
Yeah.
Well,
pick one or the other.
It's also the same exact story that it's the same story that they've been pounding us with since the 1980s. The story hasn't changed. We've gotten smarter. They haven't changed a thing. So something's got to give eventually. You can't keep going down the same route and selling the used tires to the Americans forever without us asking questions. Sooner or later, we're going to ask questions, and we're doing it now.
Well, listen, if I wanted to go out there and shoot a longhorn steer, they'd put it on the property for me.
Right now.
There's no doubt about it. And so I could go out there and shoot that longhorn steer, whatever I'm willing to pay for it, that's fine. But then if you're going to let the neighbor come up and shoot that same steer for half the money, don't tell me that it's the same, that it's for conservation, it's for whatever.
Michael, who made that Who? What was the guy's name? Just first name on that comment.
That was Fred.
Fred, thanks for the comment. We appreciate it. It was a pretty good comment. Go ahead and hit us with the next one, Michael.
A 50,000 Rand hunt for a South African family may feel like what a $15,000 hunt feels like for an American family. The number isn't the same, but the sacrifice often is. Let's keep that in mind.
Stop it right
I want to
there.
say that again.
Oh, God.
Oscar, you want to start with this one?
So divided by 16, that's $3,100. I've never spent $3,100. The month I've stayed in South Africa, like 2 or 3 times I've been to South Africa. So it's not the same. 15,000 is not the same as 3.
No. And 15.
That's just math saying. I'm not saying that. That's just math saying that.
Well, $15,000 is also not. If he wanted to do the math correctly, it should have been $15,000 times the current exchange rate. Right. That may be a closer, but 50,000 Rand compared. No, that's not close. And I get where he's going with it. And I mean, I get it. I get the sentiment, not the math. The sentiment is right that a South African dad, saving for a hunt for him, for his kids. I get it. But guess what? Dave Welder in Pittsburgh, he does the thing. Right. It doesn't matter. That $15,000 may not seem like shit to them based on what some people spend. It's a lot of money to us. Right. Jesus Christ, Dave the Welder's making $60,000 a year with a mortgage, 2 car payments, daycare, insurance, utilities. $15,000 is not expendable income. He can't do that every year. He can't do that every 2 years. He's got to do that 10 years, people. So kiss my ass with that bullshit.
Well, how many South African hunters are spending 50,000 Rand per his illustration?
I know. I can give you
If you just told me that you guys are making X, 50,000 Rand seems like a year's salary.
Yeah, but the thing about that is okay. So, like I said, my first trip to Africa, I wasn't making a shitload of money at the time or whatever, and I wanted to do it. I got the trip at a reasonable rate. I went over there. I took an impala, a warthog, and a blue wildebeest. That was my week. Those were the animals I took. Those were the animals I took. My son took a kudu, an impala, and a warthog.
Sounds very similar to my first trip, except add a blessed buck in there.
But that was our week.
Because I didn't actually connect with the warthog. So
that was our week. So don't tell me that we're all going over there with buckets of cash. That's not true.
I had a great comment on here. I want to say I looked, and the guy was from. I think this commenter was from Spain. He said, "A guy who makes less money does not magically make the kudu cheaper to grow. A guy who makes more money does not magically make the kudu more expensive to shoot. Both are sacrifices." I can respect that he was commenting directly to this, and it's both emotional pain that we can understand. However, the price difference, because one guy can afford less and one guy can afford more, then say it's the ability to pay pricing versus actual cost of the animal.
Right.
Just say it.
Just be honest about it. It's fine. So do I charge more to guys who have more money when they bring in their trophies? No, I don't. But I could. I certainly could. God only knows. There's customs brokers out there who charge a whole lot more than I do.
100%. Michael, hit us with the next one.
But a client of mine reached out to me and he's like, Dills, is this true? And I turned around to him and I said, Mark, look, it is true in a certain extent, right? But at the same time, our options aren't as open as what your guys' options are. I can't go and afford a $5,000 sable. I just can't do that. Financially, I'll never be able to. But if the farmer came to me and was like, Dills, listen, I'll give you outfitters prices. We're all in this to make money, but I'll give you outfitters prices on a sable if you would like to hunt it for yourself. Never hunted a sable. I'll probably never have the opportunity to unless something comes around. But I'll never be able to hunt it at full trophy price. I'll only be able to afford it at an outfitter's fee. excluding all the added benefits to it. I'll have to pay for my own accommodation, laundry, all that sort of stuff that gets attached to it, transport there and back, wherever it may be. So I said to him, I said, weigh up what that $5,000 Sable costs to you. Weigh up the lodge fees, the laundry, the travel to and from airports, all that sort of like break it down. Yes, you've come out and you've shot 20 other animals, and that all gets diluted between the 20.
Okay, stop. Okay. Well, he kind of accidentally solved the mystery right there. He starts with there is a version of the animal without the added benefits. That is a thing. You can absolutely purchase that animal without all the other fluff, right? And then he goes on to say, well, it's that 5,000 animal has all this shit in it: lodge fees, laundry, travel, airports, all this other shit.
Except it doesn't.
What do your day fees cover then? If that in fact is true, if the cost of the animal covers all that shit, then are day fees pure profit for the outfitter?
I have a question.
Okay.
I want to bring my wife. She's not going to hunt. Her day fees are what, $250, $200? Yeah.
Much less.
Are they
usually half of what a
right?
hunter's
Are they losing money on having on a bed? Yeah. Because I come from the fishing world, the charter fishing.
That is a great point that I never thought about. By the way, you just nail on the head right there. So bottom dollar is not bottom dollar.
No. I mean, I got brains I haven't even used yet. So hang on, folks. This is going to get good. But anyway, I'm sorry. I have Tourette's. I come from the sport fish, the charter boat world, right? And it's a little bit different, but it's not. So we just went to Guatemala, and part of that is it's the same thing. There's lodging, and there's all the same facets. It's the exact same thing. And I have some buddies that, well, Mike that we fish with, he and I are friends, and Herb that does the booking, we're friends. And when I came about 2 millimeters from buying a boat last year or 2 years ago, and we were discussing and we made spreadsheets, and let me tell you something, the hotel side, you got to make money on that. That's a good way to make money.
Yeah.
And to say that you're losing money on that is asinine. It's bad business, and it's really just not true. If I got a takeaway from the South Africans I met that were involved in the hunting operations that I've been around, they're pretty smart guys and gals. You know what I mean? They're pretty switched on, And because I was part of this whole charter boat thing, and that's barracuda usually lose their teeth when they get that big. I mean, I used to pull that crap on you. You bought it hook, line, and sinker. But you get the showmanship part of it, and this like bleeding heart, blue collar, I don't have any money stuff. It only goes so far,
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Let's look at it from an economic perspective. If your wife or your son or your daughter, your companion, whatever it is you bring, and that person's not on a rifle, and that person is a third of your day fee, well, they're not losing money on that day fee. They still have costs to cover, right? So what that tells me is that reduced fee is much closer to cost than what your day fee is, because it's this, what additional benefit does...
I don't even think that. I think they're making money at that too.
Of course they are.
They don't have the pH, the skinner, the tracker, right? But they have the laundry, they have the food, they have the lodging, they have all of the other things that I'm eating. They're eating the same food I am. They're using the same laundry service I am. They're watching the TV. They're having a drink, all that stuff. It's exactly the same. So don't piss down my back and tell me it's raining.
Yeah, it goes down straight down. Okay, you show up over there and you bought a package at Safari Club or whatever. They all piss and moan and whine if you bring somebody and don't shoot anything beyond what the package is. So where's all their profit?
Right.
Where's all their profit? If you actually bought a 3-day hunt with 3 animals at a show, and you paid that, and you go over there and you shoot those 3 animals, nothing else, those guys will whine and bitch and moan.
Well, back to that same PH that said Americans had too much money. He made the comment that he just had a guy that shot $100,000 worth of animals.
Yeah, good for him.
And I said, wow, that's insane. And I said, geez, did he pass anything? And he was saying that to the guy who was hunting with him, but I was standing there as well as like a you should do the same. And, and again, it was pretty obvious to me, he's probably getting a commission off every time the trigger gets pulled, and that's fine. That's fine, but there's, it was kind of a hard push sell, like it was a little off-putting,
Yeah, and but the other part of it is that, just like he was talking about here, and like we've talked about earlier. Okay, so let's give them this idea that they're supplementing their costs by bringing in these biltong hunters, by bringing in locals at a reduced rate. Okay, you're running a restaurant, you're selling your fish, and you figured out that you sell anywhere from 50 to 60 plates of fish on a Friday night. So next Friday, you're going to order 60 pieces of fish. You only sell 45. So the next day, you'll discount it and sell those 15. How many weeks in a row are you going to buy those 60 pieces of fish and sell 15 at a discounted rate before you stop? This goes back to what I said before. You got too many damn animals that you got to discount some of them. How many weeks in a row are you going to sell your discounted fish at a loss before you just say, finally, no, you're not. You simply won't.
Well, and I'll counter that in that, not a counter, I'm going to add to that, in that a lot of the research, it's coming out tomorrow, I think. We've been a week straight diving into it, pulling resources, talking with outfitters. So there are outfitters and landowners in South Africa that do not deal with international clients at all. They only hunt biltong hunters, local hunters. We've got those price sheets, a lot of them. I mean, I've got dozens and dozens and dozens. So the point being, and those guys, and I've seen the lodges, I've seen the accommodation that they offer, and while some people choose not to have that level of accommodation, there is a fee for doing that. And we've looked at it, and the price, that same 5-star lodge that we stay at, I'll use 5-star because we'll get into that later. But that same luxury lodge that we stay at for $700 a day, $500 a day, whatever the number is, they stay at for $2,500, 2,500 rand a day, 2,500 rand a day. What's that? 120 bucks?
Something like that.
Okay. So that tells me, so the animals are cheaper, right? 300%, 400% less in some cases. The actual day rate, and I'm including everything, and we're going to show the world this, I'm including the pH, because here's the other thing. They say, biltong hunters, they don't need guides. Horse shit. There's no farm owner in the world that's going to let a South African biltong hunter on property and take his word for it that he only shot one blessed buck or he only shot one impala, and they were both used.
Along with a cooler of beer and a bottle of whiskey.
Well, we're getting into that shit. So you with that bullshit, yourself. That is lie right there. That is 100% lie. Am I wrong?
No.
Okay. So back to the point. If these, and there's a lot of them, it's not like there's 2 biltong outfitters out there that specialize in it. There's dozens and dozens and dozens. So if they can sustain, right, that massive operation on biltong rates, somebody, you know who it is? It's the Americans. Now, once again, that's a matter of perspective in that if we're willing to pay it, be it, and tell us ahead of time.
Yeah, but a biltong operation isn't going to be worried about paying tens of thousands of dollars for that 60-inch kudu stock.
No.
Because they're catering to a different person, but that's fine.
But remember, when I broke all this down, I made sure every farm either backed it up with SCI data or Roland War data to minimum caliber trophy animals, so it was apples to apples. That's why it took so long, because I had to do that. And we scrubbed everything. So the same exact 45-inch plus kudu for a biltong hunter to an American, you want to know what the difference was? 3%. 300%. You know what the day rate difference is? 8% for the same exact accommodation. So that is closer to rock bottom. That is closer to cost. Now, who's making the money? Is it the outfitter, the landowner, the game breeder? We're going to get into that. I don't know that we'll ever know. The however is, I got a pretty good idea where it starts. And my point to that is, this is the whole South Africa plus. From the second you get off plane to the second you get on that plane, person has got their hand in your goddamn pocket.
Well, and
Everybody.
it goes back to one of the problems with these people saying is, well, but you need a PH and you need to be picked up from the airport. Anybody ever been charged for pickup from the airport?
Last year.
Me, every time I go.
In and out.
In and out. Every time I go.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody ever used their rifle and done it for free?
No.
Oh,
For free.
oh, really? I can tell you a horror story about how much it is per round.
I think I
you
paid
fire.
my first year. I think I paid $6 a round.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's cheap by compared to some.
Must have been a 308 with FMJs in it.
30
Oh, my bad. From 30-06 ammo from the Boer War.
I don't want to tell you what I paid for 416 rounds. But but everything they're charging you for all of this, and they're acting like they're not.
Right.
Every single line item, they don't have a problem breaking out all the rest of this crap
Right.
on everything else.
But again, I'm okay with it.
okay with
You know what I'm saying? But the truth of it is, yes, we've paid, and that was great. Like, oh, we have to pick you up from the airport. I paid for that.
Right.
That was my first comment. I'm
Right,
like, what are
right.
you talking about?
Well, he goes into it here in a second, too, and he starts about the guy putting petro in the vehicle and all the other horse shit. You literally charge me $175 to bring me to the airport and pick me up from the airport each way.
Each
or
person.
$200 or whatever the number is. Does that include then? And here's the thing. There's 4 of us in Baki,
Paying that.
all paying the thing.
But here's even better.
That's $7 in that Baki alone to drive hours.
Oh, but a lot of times it's not even them. They hire a driver to do it, so they're not even paying that much.
Which, speaking of which, folks, there are 2 different transportation companies in South Africa that are now on our Saltlick Worldwide group page. We vetted both of them. They've come highly recommended. The outfitters even endorse them. They're good people. Go to the Saltlick Worldwide Facebook group page. Look for those guys if you need transportation in South Africa. I believe they service Joburg, definitely, Cape Town, and maybe Durban. So go there if you're looking for an affordable way to travel in South Africa. Highly recommended, 5-star service, and it's not going to cost you $175 a person to get in their van either. That's what I got to say. Moving on, son. What do we got next?
You do have a comment from Fred again. If you'd like to review that.
Fred is getting
Fred's
after
on fire.
it. Fred
He's
is
on
on
it.
fire.
He said, when Hemingway was hunting, if you compared the price he would have had to pay it now, it was incredibly expensive. He had camps, they had to move, staff, trucks, etc. It was a very rich man's sport. Hunting has become incredibly affordable and accessible due to the model that has been created by us. The chap on the far left who says it's not conservation fails to acknowledge that it's conservation.
Does he ramble a little bit, or?
Now the screen keeps moving on its own. The chap on the far left who says it's not conservation fails to acknowledge that its conservation doesn't stop at saving, preserving the black wildebeest or bontabuck. It also prevents land encroachment over farming and general land destruction. The model that has been created is catering to a high turnover of hunters, which demands more trophy animals, which takes time to produce. Keeping a ram or bull to 6 or 8 years old costs money, and as anyone involved with animals knows, there is a risk involved. If you want to take those animals, you pay for the work that's gone into it. Hunting in South Africa has never been cheaper, ever.
Okay.
It'll probably get cheaper.
Well, either Fred is a literary genius or he has got AI locked down, but he may be well-spoken. Thanks for the comment. I want to address the Hemingway thing in that, yes, while they did have tent camps and they had vehicles and they had to move and shit, we also have lodges, we have trackers, we have skinners, we have vehicles, we have transportation, we have upkeep. Hey, guess what? We have internet, hot water now. We have power now. Well, Sometimes we have power, depending if Eskim's got their head up their ass or you got a blackout or the generator work. But
The animals are inside a fence.
yeah, well,
In Hemingway's day, they weren't.
Right.
Also,
Which means
it was a handful of guys there.
Which also means those animals, after you paid the permit fee for the country and they gave you the tag, which, by the way, we can look this up. We can definitely fact check this, how much it costs to today's. It was not expensive. That was the cheapest part of everything. It was the 5 people you had to bring with you because, especially in Hemingway's day, guys came over on boat and they brought enough set up a house every time they moved. It not quite the same, but I get what you're saying. But there's still costs associated with it today. Satellite internet is expensive as balls. A lot of these farms too that we've hunted at, and some of these locations they run off solar and generator. The Escom doesn't even go there, so that shit's expensive. I agree. There's cost involved with all of that shit. There was cost involved back then too. Just say it was dramatically more expensive back then compared to today, when the trophy fees were a permit across the counter that anybody could go in and buy, is absolute horseshit. We're going to fact check that one. We're definitely coming back to it. That is a post in and of itself, by the way. That would make a good post to research.
The Hemingway thing?
The Hemingway thing. Hemingway, Rourke, Roosevelt, all those guys. Actually, I don't think Roosevelt thing. I think he was carte blanche when he was there, because I think everything that he harvested went to the Natural History Museum, if I'm not correct, in Washington.
Yeah, but you're comparing two different times. How many American hunters were going to South Africa in 18?
I'm pretty
in 18 whatever.
Well, and to be perfectly frank, I'm not sure that Hemingway or Rourke actually ever got as far south as South Africa, because there were game in South Africa.
Well, yeah, exactly.
But it's
conservation. Having all these behind
the stories from back in the 1800s, Limpopo and the elephants and shit like that. Yeah, that was that.
Kenya. A lot of stuff
but Limpopo, right? So that's in South Africa, but it's also like the Limpopo River, Botswana border. Yeah.
Okay, but the other thing is just like I said to Mike, and I heard him say it on another podcast, is the fact that in those days, those people thought of the resources as unlimited. They didn't conserve jack shit because they thought it was a limitless resource. Mm-hmm. They had no idea that they could wipe out the rhinos, that they could wipe out the banta bucks, that they could wipe out anything.
The blue buck, which is now eradicated in South Africa.
Not for long, apparently.
I saw that too. That was
but they sat out there. They sat out there and shot.
Yeah,
they didn't worry about it. Listen, we had our history with it here. They thought the buffalo, the bison here were a limitless resource.
That's a great point. Don't cry me river about all the conservation you did, and like you're the only country in the world that do that. Our entire country, as westward expansion happened, fixed it ourselves without high fence in the country.
There you go.
Just saying.
That argument would be like still charging 1990s prices for a laptop.
Yeah, well, without
like what are you talking about?
And also, we're not moving bison down to Florida and letting them go here and calling that conservation.
We're not bringing anything to Florida and releasing wild. I don't think that's been done since. Actually, it's never been. I was going to say turkeys. That happened in a lot of the eastern U.S., but not in Florida because
Panthers. The cougars. They did let some cougars go.
Cougars.
Yeah, most of them died.
Not the cougars that you meet in Boca at happy hour. I'm talking about.
Most of them died.
Yeah.
One of FWC's great adventures.
Yeah.
All right.
That's another.
That's a whole other ball of wax.
Rabbit hole. Michael, hit us with the next one.
I wanted to also compare what we were charging for our animals to the American hunter compared to a lot of hunts that were done in America. Now, I've been very fortunate to have traveled the world on my hunting expedition. I've hunted in Spain, I've hunted in the United States many different times.
Can't afford
I've seen what it costs me as a foreigner to go over there and hunt. I've seen some of the hunts that what I would have essentially been guiding on cost that side. I've also seen what guys pay at auctions. I've seen what guys pay at banquets. I've seen what guys will pay for a limited tag. I've seen the draw system. I've seen outfitter systems. I've seen various different systems that people operate in within hunting. And I'm not here to lambaste them. I'm not here to say what their model is, they're doing wrong, or any of that sort of stuff. I'm just comparing facts with facts. So I broke it down. Let's use the United States for example, because the majority of South African international hunters come from America. Many Americans spend enormous amounts of money pursuing hunting opportunities at home in their own country. For instance, guided elk hunts in the States, like New Mexico, Colorado, Arizona, Montana, can easily cost anywhere between $8,000 and $20,000 US. That's before travel costs are even added. Premium mule deer hunts, bighorn sheep hunts in places like Arizona and New Mexico, and trophy whitetail hunts can cost significantly more. Some sheep hunts in North America exceed $50,000 to $100,000 US. Now compare that to an African safari. An American hunter may spend $15,000 to $30,000 US on a South African's playing game safari, which may include average between 6 and 8 animals, accommodation, food, professional hunter service for 7 to 10 days, trackers, vehicles, trophy fees, tourism expenses, staff support, taxidermy pickups, fuel, transport to and from the airport, often ammunition, and then sometimes rifle hire. From their perspective, Africa often not as expensive as many people may think. In some cases, they are spending similar amounts to what they would spend on a quality hunt in the United States for one species of animal.
All right, stop it there. That's enough. He keeps going on that one. All right, so everybody's got something to say about that. First, Oscar, I know you've been chomping at the bit on this one. You go ahead and hit me with it.
One guy pays $2 million for a governor's tag, and all of a sudden, that's the standard American hunter. How many guys, if you have, 8,000 American hunters going over to South Africa, how many guys are going over to shoot stone sheep?
It goes beyond that, Oscar, because the fact of the matter is the guy who paid that money at Dallas Safari Club, I think it was, for that hunt, how much of that money went to Dallas Safari Club?
A big portion of that.
See, so that's a contribution to a political action community over here. It has nothing to do with conservation. It has nothing to do with that. And that guy is voluntarily giving that money to the organization because it's a political organization and an activism organization.
It's also a tax-deductible donation, too, depending on how your accountant works it.
Some of it is, not all of it is. But, yes, they are a 501c3.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another story. That's a rabbit hole we can go down. But the fact of the matter is that's one guy, and he's not paying that for the tag. He's paying that in order to be Mr. Big Dick in front of all his buddies at Dallas Safari Club.
That was my nickname.
And if you've ever been at one of those banquets, particularly with those guys, that's exactly what's going on in those rooms.
100%.
Yeah.
Those guys are not paying that for their tag. They're paying that to impress the guy next to them.
Absolutely.
And listen, I want to say I have a problem with that.
Sure.
You're supporting those organizations. You're paying that. Do it. Great. If you've got that kind of expendable income, I got no problem with it. I'll be the first asshole to smack you on the ass and say, I wish I could have done that.
But my point is that's not what he's paying for the tag. Because he could have purchased that tag or put in for the draw for that same tag for the same price that you and I could for $1,000. And if he's drawn in the random draw on that, that's what he gets the tag for.
Right.
He goes on to say in that, he said, then if someone spends $50,000 to $100,000 on an elk hunt, they could come to South Africa and shoot several buffalo. Who, aside from those special once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, spends $50,000 to $100,000 on an elk hunt?
Unless it's behind a high fence and it's a guaranteed size, no one.
Right. Right. If you go to Grants in New Mexico, right, and you get on a private ranch there to shoot these gigantic elk they have there, I mean, I've heard 25, 28, and I thought that was ridiculous, But again, that's for, I'm guaranteeing you a 375 and da-da-da-da-da. Different story. Right. But if I go get my out-of-state tag and I get the draw, pay the same amount, whether I shoot a raghorn or a 400-inch monster.
You put in for Montana or one of these places, go ahead, put in for the draw, and wait your turn. Wait your 5 years before you have enough points that you'll actually be drawn as an out-of-state guy. And maybe you've spent $1,000 in putting in your applications or whatever, and by the time you finally get it 5 years later and you draw it, that's all you've got invested in it. And you can go hunt that day.
Yeah.
You can go hunt that day. Yeah.
But isn't that their whole pitch? Like, that's the whole pitch of the industry. Why hunt a 300-inch Texas whitetail for $25,000 when you can have an incredible hunt in South Africa for the same $25,000?
Yes, that's the pitch. And listen,
that's the whole pitch.
I, asshole right here, I've been guilty of that. How many years have I been on social media pounding that in people's heads? You can. It's true. You can absolutely do that. I'm guilty. And you know what? Until the past couple of years, I've also been guilty of drinking conservation Kool-Aid. I'm guilty of it. I think it was actually Rob a couple of years ago that says, let's talk about it. I was picking up trophies one day, and I was there for like 2 hours, sitting on the back of the trailer just shooting the shit. And that got me thinking, like, wait a minute. And then Randy Vestrad, obviously, and it's true. That is not what this is. But say that's fine. I have no problem with that. And is it a value, comparatively speaking, to go in and shoot that whitetail? Can you do more over there for the same kind of money? The answer is yes, you absolutely can. That's not the point of any of this. That's not comparing apples to apples. We started with, why can a South African hunt a trophy kudu for 5,000 Rand? That number's not accurate. I do have the math. 5,000 Rand, but somebody from the U.S. pays $7,000 for that kudu. Why? For the same animal on the same farm.
Well, the question would be, okay, if I'm going to spend whatever the absurd number he said was, $20,000 to go hunt an elk, how much would it cost you?
$20,000.
Would it cost you anymore?
Nope.
Oh, would it cost the guy who lives next door
Same
to
guy.
the outfitter who's taking him out any less or any more?
Same amount.
I wanted to spin rumor here too, because apparently South Africa is the only country in the world where an outfitter has costs beyond just the animal, in that there's trackers and there's skinners and there's support staff, because our outfitters in the U.S., we don't have any of that. No outfitter, high fence or not. No, those guys don't have staff. They don't have pack horses. You're going on an elk hunt. You lodge. You got airport pickup. You food every day. You got pack horses. You don't have one guide. You have a team of people there. The other argument was that he's coming to is the trickle-down economy effect, that it goes back into the local economy. Guess what do you think happens here? They just take that money and they put it in a safe and they never spend it? No, it all goes back into the local economy. South Africa, Germany, Russia, Poland, I don't give a where you're at, the moon, it goes back into the local economy. That argument, horseshit. That is the same any place in the world. I don't give a where you're at. Nobody takes that money, puts it in a safe, and just does anything with it. That's not how this works. Nobody does not have staff. Nobody does not have lodging. Nobody does not have accommodation. They have diesel. They have airport pickups. They have food. They have booze. They have everything that you have. Our guys in the U.S. have the same exact thing. Go hunt a ranch in Texas. You've been there. Yep. You've seen it. What Pratkas have? Everything in more that they have. And you know what? It costs them 10 times more to run the operation here than it does in South Africa. Period. That's what it costs. So you know what? If they have to charge $7,000 for 150-inch whitetail, you know why? Because that's what they have to charge to eat those fees. But you know the other thing that most outfitters don't have in the U.S.? They have day fees. You have package fee. If you want to go shoot an animal right there, okay, that's $20,000 and you're here for 3 days. Everything else you do in those 3 days is included in the cost animal.
And this is what kind of chaps my ass a little bit with what he's saying, because he's kind of being disingenuous, because he's trying to parlay that onto our model that you just said. You go on an elk hunt, it's X amount of dollars for the outfitter. That's for your food, your lodging, that's for your guide, that's for everything. You pay that amount and that's it. Where he's trying to say that's the same there. And it's absolutely not. It's absolutely not. And I keep saying the same thing. What's the day fee for? How come there's a day fee? If the day fee is so underwater, why are you not educated enough to charge enough to cover your own expenses so that you have a thriving business?
We did a bunch of us, me, Paul, Steph, and Brian did an elk hunt in Montana a couple years ago. And by the time it was said and done, we calculated all the fees out to include travel, tips, everything, and it cost us about $15,000 to go on that elk hunt. And this was a true get horses and go elk hunt. This was not, drive from the airport, go out back and shoot something off a high rack. This was a true experienced Montana elk hunt. It didn't matter whether you shot a 400-inch elk or a spiker. It's $15,000 is what it cost. Now, that's another rabbit hole we can go down. If you shoot a 30-inch buffalo or a 40-inch buffalo, is there a difference? Abso-fucking-lutely. If you shoot a 45-inch kudu, is there a difference between a 50? Abso-fucking-lutely. Is there a difference between a 60-inch kudu? Now, springbuck. Somebody that I know into paying for a Kalahari springbuck that was clearly a common springbuck last year because it was over 13 inches.
Yes.
That point.
Well, and that's the thing, and then when I brought up to them that the taxidermy wrote it up as a common springbuck, that I showed it to 3 or 4 different PHs. I sent the photos of the animal. Is that a common or a Kalahari? I was told every time, that's common. It's a really big common. I said, oh, okay. But I was told, oh, that's a Kalahari. That's a Kalahari. Same thing. If you want to charge more because it's a really big common, I'm okay with that. But don't tell me it's a Kalahari, because you know what? I still have to go shoot a Kalahari. And if you lied to me about it and say it's a Kalahari and it's not, that's like me. I'll give you an example. A million years ago, we're in Palm Beach charter fishing, and somebody catches a really big rainbow runner. Really cool fish, right? Big ass rainbow runner. And as the mate's walking by with the angler, with the fish to go do it, hang it up or whatever, I hear him say to the person in Palm Beach County, Florida, "This is a giant California yellowtail." And I didn't say anything because, I didn't say anything. I didn't call it out. I'm like, what do you, I didn't out him but the guy came back, the mate came back with the fish and with the taxidermy tag on it, of course. And I said to him, I'm like, dude, what is wrong with you? And he's like, shut your effing mouth, But it's the same thing. It's the whole bait and switch thing. It's not that we're bitching because of the cost of things. We just want to know where it goes. You know what I mean? And then the disingenuous stuff, that whole thing with it, oh, it's a Kalahari, that leads me, okay, now I don't trust you. Now I want to know where that money came from. Now I want to know where that charge came from, where this charge came from. And as a consumer, as an American, and maybe that's why other people don't like us, we assume that we have a right to know that. But from what these people are saying, shut your mouth and pay.
Well, it's also you're rich. It's that envy that you can see coming out of them,
right?
Over that.
I'll also give you an example. I absolutely said live to the world that I paid $15,000 all in for an elk hunt in Montana. If I subtracted the outfitter fee and went in, I have the same tags, same draw system, same preference point system, everything, and went in and did a public land hunt, which we hunted on public land while we were there. What would that have cost me, comparatively speaking? Half or a third? Yeah. You're paying for the outfitter, right? So that whole argument, 15,000, 20,000, actually he started at 50 and then went to 100 and they're for reference, there, and he put mule deer in there too, and bighorn sheep. There's no such thing as a $50,000 mule deer hunt, folks. I don't give a fly. If you go to El Chaparral, Mexico, for a Sonoran mule deer, maybe you spend $50,000.
There was a guy who paid a ridiculous amount at the last Dallas Safari Club for a mule deer.
Was that Brian Bailey?
Don't.
Because he shot f***ing toad.
No. But he paid it at the auction. Right. But once again, like I said, what these guys pay at an auction is not what they're paying for the hunt. They're paying to make a donation to the organization.
Right.
They're getting that mule deer or that sheep tag. They go to Wild Sheep Federation and they're spending a couple $100,000 on a sheep tag. It's to support Wild Sheep Federation.
Once again, the argument is not apples to apples. It's not the same thing.
Well, no, we're getting painted here as like, well, it's not all outfitters in South Africa. Buddy, it's the same thing. It's not all American hunters can afford a $2 million desert bighorn sheep tag.
Right.
Exactly.
Comparatively speaking, how many, okay, so I'll use his stats. He said 8,000 to 9,000 U.S. hunters a year. And he said U.S., not international. That could be international hunters. I'll go with U.S. because that's what he said. Contribute 90% of the income to that country from an international hunting perspective. How many hunters are there in the U.S.?
Oh,
How many million?
millions. I mean, was it Wisconsin alone is 600,000 registered hunters, I think.
Well, let's say they estimate approximately 5% of the U.S. and the U.S. has 360 million people in it. Do the math.
What's that, 15 million, Oscar? Ish?
More or less. 15, 18.
Right. So I see where you're going. Of that number,
Right.
9,000 are going to Africa.
Right. But we're all rich and we can afford it.
16 million U.S. hunters.
16 million U.S. hunters and 8 to 9,000 based on his own data, not mine. I didn't make that shit up. That's quoted from his podcast. That's how many people go. Because that's how many people can afford to go. Period. And a lot of those people, they're one and dones.
Right. Well,
That's
like
the
you
other
said,
thing. They've saved for 10 years to be able to go. A lot of those people may go back a second time or a third time. How many of us go every single year?
hardly any.
Of that 8,000 to 9,000 hunters a year, how many go every single year and can afford to do that every year?
Maybe a couple hundred. Maybe.
Right?
Maybe.
Call it 1,000, right? Call it 1,000. Call it 10% of that number, right?
Well, that's 20 people from each state,
Right.
which would be a high number.
But the way that
But it's cheap, right? It's affordable. It's the most economic thing you can. How much does it cost you to go to Kentucky and hunt a whitetail?
$600.
$600. What's that going to buy in South Africa?
I can't even make it to Atlanta for $600.
Okay, let's say you could make it all the way to Johannesburg and you could get to camp. What is $600 going to buy you in South Africa?
U.S. A warthog, maybe a springbuck.
Okay,
But that doesn't include your day rate.
Correct. Yeah.
It's just the animal.
there you go.
Looks like I'm hunting monkeys.
That's right. You're hunting free shit, which no outfitter in the world is going to take you there. So the idea that it's the most, back to your point, it's the most economical place in the world to hunt, you can pack that shit in your goat ass. And I think Sarah's the one that said it. I'm not sure that he did yet, but we're getting to that. Michael, we went down a tangent. Do we have any new comments that we need to address right now?
I've got two here.
Now, and keep in mind, it's like 2 a.m. South African time, so we should have filmed this at like 8 a.m. in the morning. Go ahead.
So the first one was Habitat Wise Group. They said you had little man syndrome and then asked you to admit your swearing. And then as soon as that came through, you just went on this large rant and was just blasting the F-bomb.
Yeah, we do that.
Okay. Folks, if you have never watched our shit before, Sean does not give a fuck, and I have no filter. So just FYI, that's where, if you come to the Saltlick channel or pages, there's several now, we don't period. We're not going to church it up. You did say F-bomb instead of before, which is unusual for you.
I also said I had Tourette's, which may or may not be true, but whatever.
Okay, yeah, but little man syndrome, I'm not sure about that, but whatever. All right, thank you for the comment. What was their name?
The Habitat Wise Group.
Thank you, Habitat Wise Group. Okay.
Habitat Wise Group. He used to be really fat.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I see. We've got a couple of. We've got one of those in there.
We got a troll.
Aha. What's the other one? You said we had two.
How's that bunny feel? Keep hugging it.
The Outdoor Quest TV. One of the biggest issues is too many outfitters. They are all trying to get by with too small a pool of hunters to draw from. It doesn't matter if you can sell 100 buffalo when you can. You need to pay all your expenses and costs from a small pool of hunters. The price has to be high enough to cover this. If there were a quarter of the number of outfitters, each would have many more clients and cost could go down. That's the reality. None of these South African outfitters are turning hunters away. They are hungry for more.
All right, so I don't know these guys personally, but I do follow their shit. And great comment, by the way.
Yeah, that's pretty
But
good.
it's quite reasonable, and it goes down what I was talking with you about before is the fact that when I first went to South Africa, I was in Limpopo, okay, and we hunted on a place that was 120,000 continuous acres.
It's a good place. 50,000
Can you find that
hectares.
in Limpopo now?
No, it doesn't
Oh,
exist.
God,
Somebody's going to hit me in the comments. Oh, yeah, there's 3 property. There's one in Bella Bella. There's
Okay.
one here. Whatever.
But-
It's not anymore.
but-
They've all been chopped up.
And that was
20 years
the
ago.
standard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't
That was the
exist anymore.
standard. And now they've just kept chopping them up. You can find a few in the Cape and the rest of this, but very rarely do you find one that size. That was common back then. And, so, yes, there are too many outfitters, but they all got dollar signs in their eyes. They've all catered to that tape measure guy. They've all catered to that chrome and leather hunter with the tape measure who wants the 60-inch kudu and is willing to pay you whatever you want for it. They think everybody is.
Right.
That's a problem.
So-
Hogs get slaughtered.
Michael, how many outfitters, and did that comment say how many outfitters are there in South Africa?
They did not specify any number. Just said that there are, a bunch of them.
I may be wrong, but I thought I heard like 8,000 the other day.
That's what I heard
Yeah, 8,000.
from the comments.
So that's one hunter per outfitter, one American hunter per outfitter.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Of just like, if there's 9,000 outfitters and 9,000 hunters coming to hunt,
Yeah, how's that work?
what's that math?
Yeah, I'm not sure that works out. Well, the math to this is
Well, we're also relying on his data, which may not be correct.
no. I mean, it was Claude. I mean, or whatever. He's a
but
Gemini.
There's also several outfitters over there that don't cater to Americans at all.
Right.
I know one for a fact.
I actually know several that only deal with Swedish clients or Norwegian clients, or
I know one who's rented out every year to the Saudis.
Yeah.
Hunting baboons.
Yeah, that's what they're.
All right, Michael, hit us with the next one.
Completely pinpoint how many hands that client is contributing to, because the tracker gets a cut. The tracker's family, my dog, the outfitter, the lodge staff, the chef, the skinners, the taxidermists, the meat processors, the fencers, what's these guys? The night watchman. Oh no, night watchman is terrible. The poachers, the rangers. That's it. The driver that transported you to and from the airport.
Okay, that's enough. Cut that shit off.
Wait a minute. The dog gets a cut?
Apparently,
The dog gets
and apparently,
And the poachers get a
the
cut?
poachers do. The dogs and the
And the
poachers.
fencers.
The fences themselves. The
Fencers
the-
that are in the Olympics?
No, he said fences.
Oh, fences.
Yeah. Apparently, they.
I thought he said fencer.
Can I let my dog
He
a cut
could
of my
have.
business?
I could be wrong. Yeah.
Oscar, you know about tax code. Can I get my dog to have a cut is that tax free if my dog gets a cut of my
Depends on the
business?
state, actually.
I'm gonna. So I've got the exact transcript. What he said was it contributes to trackers, families, dogs. Yes, he said dogs. Outfitters, lodge staff, chefs, skinners, taxidermists. We'll get back there in a second because that's up. Meat processors, fences, not fencers, fences, rangers, drivers, petro attendants, and many others. Now, I want to start with dogs.
Me too.
Yeah, so apparently the money that we spend goes to dogs. Now, I understand where he was going with that.
It's a trickle-down thing.
It's a trickle-down thing, and that he's got to pay for dog food and shit like that. Okay, fine. let's go to the next one. Taxidermy. Fuck you. Fuck you.
That has
fuck
nothing
you,
to do.
fuck you. You son of a bitch. I pay taxidermy. And guess what, folks? If you're watching, there's 2 prices for taxidermy too. One for us and one for a South African. There's not one price. There's 2, so you're getting dick-holed into that too. Now, okay, does anybody else have to add a taxidermist?
No, it's absolutely true. And as far as like the taxidermy coming to pick the animals up, well, the outfitter's not paying for that. The landowner doesn't pay for that. I pay for that. That's part of my cost for the taxidermy.
But your fees, your hunting fees, your day fees are going to taxidermy. No, they're not.
No, they're not going to taxidermy.
They're also not going to meat processors, which is another issue. Okay, folks. So for you folks that don't know, that have maybe never been or only been a couple times, let me explain something to you real quick. So South Africa they're not as genuine as they make it out to be. And that if you go to these shows, you will hear everybody, and not every outfitter, some are actually honest, and I don't want to bash the good outfitters. However, what you're going to hear is we donate to the local orphanages and the local tribes, communities, villages, whatever. Folks, that does happen, but much. What people don't understand is, unlike the United States of America, this country here, there is not a secondary market for us because it's, and Rob can go there if I'm wrong, the USDA prohibits in most cases, we can't sell whitetail, we can't sell mule deer, we can't sell elk on an open market, i.e. we cannot go to a Publix and buy that shit.
Okay,
with few exceptions.
Unless it's raised on a
unless it's farm raised,
processed in a USDA approved facility, which is the problem why you can't sell game meat. Although it's disallowed to sell wild game meat mostly in the United States from a lot of things, same as sport fish. Right. If it's classified as sport fish, you can't, which is why you can only sell alligator meat if you have it processed at some place. But if I take my alligator out of the STA and I process it myself, I can't sell it.
Can't sell it, yeah. Same thing with ducks. That was a big issue, wild ducks.
Michael, we're going to be on this topic for a second. Would you mind possibly, I know it's getting late for you and you may have to go, would you mind building us another round?
No issue.
We'll call him Jay. And actually, now's a good time. Folks, if you're watching from home, we're going to have a piss break and then we're coming back to this. So don't turn anything off. Just leave it run. People are going to figure out where we are. And I see there's a big, long comment there we're going to address when we get back to. All right, folks, back in Facebook world, we are back. And
sorry.
We're still, so we kind of left there. But so we were talking about, Dylan, the contribution, the trickle-down effect, and that trackers, families, dogs, try to say that without laughing, outfitters, granted, lodge staff, chefs, skinners, taxidermists, which I think we all showed our ass about. Meat processors, I think, is where we left off. Was it meat processors? Okay, right. So people, we started to say this earlier, but I'll go back to it. In South Africa, the idea that the meat is given to orphanages and villages is horseshit. It does happen. I don't think villages is a thing. I think just some orphanages, and there are some outfitters that do it. You and I have been there just several times. Like, we support some orphanages in the Eastern Cape. Sparrows is a great place. You've been there yourself. However, the majority of it does not go there by any stretch of the minute. So there's a secondary market in South Africa that allows for the sale of venison. And you can buy it in a market there. You can go to a pick and pay. You can go here and there. You can go to the Abattoir. I'm sorry. That's French for kiss my ass.
Slaughterhouse.
Yes, yeah. So you can go to these places and you can buy venison. You can buy kudu, eland, gemsbuck, whatever, right? It's a thing there. So the point being, there's a secondary market for this animal. So when the bottom line costs argument comes out and we're already it doesn't end when you shoot the animal. That meat doesn't all go to the lodge. Now, I will say some of it does go to the lodge. Some of the prime cuts you will eat. However, let's say, for example, we shoot a 2,000-ish pound eland. How much of that eland actually feeds the lodge? You're going to have eland Wellington one night, right?
Right. You'll have a tenderloin at it.
Right. So what are we talking about? 5 kilos, 10 kilos at most. We got a big group. We got a big group in camp, right? We got 15 of us. We had a big group last year. 2 big groups last year. 15 one time, 18 another, something like that. Okay, so maybe there's 20 kilos, 40 pounds. Animals, 2,000 pounds. Where's the rest of it going? Okay, you got to feed some of the staff there. Okay, so there's another 10 kilos, 20 kilos. That's not 1,000 kilos. That's not 800 kilos. There's secondary market, folks. These guys are getting they sell the meat. That's what they do. So there's secondary market. So from a biltong perspective, a biltong hunter, if you may or may not know, that's a meat hunter in that they go out, they hunt, whether it's a trophy or non-trophy, they take the meat with them. Americans, we cannot take the meat with us. We cannot bring it back to the United States. There's some Fish and Game or USDA. I'll let Rob explain why we can't, but is it USDA?
USDA. It's USDA, and it's because there is FMD.
Foot and mouth disease.
It's a foot and mouth disease positive. It's a foot and mouth disease positive area, and on top of that, it's not processed by an approved facility. So uncooked meat cannot be brought back. Biltong can't be brought back because it's actually not raised to a temperature which would allow it to be. Which Namibia solved some of that problem because some of their cattle is allowed in. I forget whether it's above or below the fence, but yeah, you can't bring the meat back. It's way too much of a struggle. We have a hard enough time getting meat from Canada in here.
Yeah, years and years ago, we could bring biltong back, but now that's it. They check your bags now when you leave. If you've got biltong in your bag, gone.
You mean the beagle at the airport didn't catch you?
Oh no, Joburg, like in the Delta flight now, there's a secondary check-in where they check all your carry-on bags. They go through it and everything, and if there's biltong in there, they're right out. The trick to that is, I'm not going to say.
Don't.
However, okay, so we talked meat processors, fences. I'm not sure what that means, unless that's a fence as in somebody that steals some shit and then sells it here in the U.S., or a convention.
Referring to the guys who make the fences.
Oscar's got a guy.
Okay. So not like a fence if we talk about a fence in the US, that's somebody that's offloading some ill-gained merchandise. So we're talking about the guys that build the fences is what we think.
I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, that's fair. Then that's a cost, though it's not. I would argue it's not a cost to the outfitter unless he owns the land. That fee is being passed on because he's paying the landowner per night per head. So whatever. Rangers to patrol the land. How places? Now you've been here. You've been there. How many times have you ever seen a ranger in South Africa that's not on a place that has rhino?
Yeah. No.
No.
None.
Right. Okay. All right. Drivers, that's a thing.
I thought I was paying for that.
Petro attendants.
I tipped one there once.
Was it just the tip or
just for a minute?
Okay. Were you soaking?
That's my business. That's another podcast. Don't bleed over from the other one.
My bad. All right. So I'm going to assume that when he said that, it wasn't part of his. Actually, I'm going to assume he said that because he was just reading off the AI script and didn't realize that petro attendants shouldn't be associated with cost for us to go to hunt a specific place. All right. So.
What about police officers like in America? Like, you want to go through the long line of economics?
9 guys it takes to stand around before they fix a pile.
Well, and here's here. All right. So the idea that South Africa is the only country in the world that has to pay those people. Now, I want to talk about. I'm going to bring up a specific individual by name because he's local in town. Most people know him. You can come in. It's okay. Lee Lightsey Family Ranch. We all know Lee, and Lee runs a pretty successful business. So I think we've all been there. You know Lee. We all know Lee, right? So does Lee have lodge staff? Are there people there? Are people? Yeah, cleaning up your shit, doing your laundry. Yeah. Is there somebody cooking your dinner?
Yeah, one guy.
So he's got people though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does he have dogs?
A bunch of them.
Okay. Yeah. Does somebody skin your animal when you kill it?
Usually pH.
Okay. Well, he definitely doesn't have meat processors. Oh, no, that's not true. If you shoot a gator,
Well,
he absolutely
yeah,
does.
yeah.
Big John.
Okay. Does Lee have fences?
I saw a ton of them. I was
Okay.
over there.
All right. If somebody's flying in, let's say from out of state to go hunt at Lightsey Family Ranch, which is a great place, does he have somebody that's going to go get you from the airport?
Yeah.
Yeah. He has to stop and get diesel on the way back. How much are we paying for the petro attendant?
Nothing.
Okay.
Unless you're in New Jersey.
Right.
What exit?
So we've eliminated 2 from that list that we don't have cost for, of which we also believe 2 of those are totally incomplete horseshit. Point being, do we have the same cost that they do?
Of course.
Of
Yes.
course. Do our costs are from a monetary perspective, are our costs more or less than theirs are?
Oh gosh, more.
Okay.
Yeah, but here's my question. Okay, I can go out to the gas station down the street, and I can grab the guy that's standing behind the counter, who's making minimum wage. I just take him over to Lightsey's. What are they going to charge him for a hunt?
The
same
exact
charge me?
thing that you're going to pay.
Oh, would it be the same as our friend over there?
Well, and so I was going down.
Him too.
I was
Same
going-
amount.
You hand me that. I was going down that rabbit hole for a reason, and the reason is because we're local here, right? I'm a local. Lee Lightsey's place is right there, so I'm a local. Oscar, if I go there and I want to shoot a whitetail, okay, right, like a 200-inch whitetail. Do I get a discount from somebody that say flies in from South Africa?
Nope. It's $9,000.
$9,000. What about a fallow deer?
4,500.
What about a gator?
Depending on the size, starting at $1,000.
What does a South African pay for that?
I'd imagine $1,000 for a gator.
But why can't I get a discount? I'm local. I've got family here. I've got dogs.
Because that's not how it works here.
Okay, so okay. Well, why? I mean, that's just
Because he's established a business model and he knows what he needs to make money and be profitable. And it doesn't matter what nationality, color, creed, religion, or sexual preference, referring to you, that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. He needs that much money for that animal to cover his expenses and make a reasonable profit.
Yeah, and if you go over there and you want to shoot a substandard deer for meat, he's going to charge you the same amount as he's going to charge anybody who walks on the ranch.
Sure.
If he says, "Listen, I've got too many does, come out and shoot one for $400."
Yeah.
For $400.
yeah.
You can go shoot a doe. Okay. He's going to charge him the same amount.
Right.
If he wants to shoot a doe and skin it and stuff it and do whatever he wants to do with it.
I'm gonna go to the comments because I'm reading the comments.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, you got.
I'm a big deal. I got Danny Carr on here.
Oh, Danny.
Yeah. And he goes, what if we flip the model to the trade show industry and made South African hunters pay 3x, 5x, but gave the local price to the American?
You can't. So
You can't because it's 17 to 1 or 16 to 1. They couldn't afford it.
You'd also get the crap suit out of you
Yeah.
over here.
Right. Price gouging.
Now, full disclosure, I know Danny personally. Not like I know him on Facebook personally. Like I actually met the man and stayed at his house and met his wife. And
In real life.
Yes, in real life. Like he's a real dude. Like yeah, I actually know this guy. So I don't think you knew that, but
No.
oh, yeah,
But he makes an argument.
he does.
We are making the exact same argument if they put the shoe on the other foot.
Right. Well, that would be so. We have U.S. outfitters and Canadian outfitters and South African outfitters and Argentinian outfitters that come to SCI. Should SCI charge South African outfitters more because they're not from the U.S.?
Right.
I mean,
Or Tennessee outfitters. Make it local. Tennessee outfitters.
Doesn't work
Well,
like
SCI's in Tennessee, by the way.
That's what I'm saying.
That's what he's
Yeah,
saying.
okay.
That's what I'm saying.
That's a local outfitter.
That's a local outfitter.
Charge everybody else
Do they give a Tennessee rate?
Not even close.
Michael, hit us with the next one before we go dormant here and down a much longer rabbit hole.
Seen it? Yes. Personally, I have seen it happen. Have I been a part of it? Yes, I have been a part of it. Again, I don't drink much and I don't drive on the back
this
of
is
a
the
bakkie
biltong
holding
hunters.
firearms with alcohol in my hand. But I have been part of a hunting party that did do that. Do I agree with it? Probably not, because I don't think that's the best way to
Stop it there.
represent our
He's not done. I'm going to go back to this. Horseshit. If he's got a client that wants sundowners and Jaeger bombs up and go shoot animals off the high rack and the Baki, you know what he's going to say? Have at it. Continue.
industry, especially if you are going onto somebody else's property and essentially hunting somebody else's animals. You need to treat it with as much respect as possible. So there's been this negative narrative within our own hunting community about certain things like this. As recent as a couple of weeks ago, when I approached the landowner if I could utilize his lodge, and he said to me, yes, of course, Dylan, are you bringing locals or international guys? I said, I'm bringing international guys. He said, okay, good, because we don't allow local guys to come on. And my question to him was, why not? So he said, we just had a bit of drama during the evening. There was a rifle went off in one of the rooms. There were glasses broken. They abused the furniture and things like that. So I think as South African hunters, we have to take a lot of responsibility on the chin and understand that when these parties do go out, you're not only representing yourself individually, you're representing a whole industry that thrives off of that thrives off of you're essentially
Okay, stop
taking
that. So, South African biltong hunters as a whole, they're full of drama. There's rifles going off in the room. There's broken glass. They drink. They shoot. They destroy furniture, up farmers' land, and because of that,
we have to pay more.
I'm sorry, but am I the only person here that finds that incredibly offensive?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now, personally, I don't know that that's true or not, and I don't want to categorize biltong hunters as a bunch of drunken yahoos.
I'm gonna go back 12 months. You've never seen anybody drunk and drive around in a Baki and stack up
A lot.
how many zebras and
No.
wildebeest? No, you've never seen that, right? Right. That's never. American hunters don't do that.
Oh, no.
PHs in South Africa don't let American hunters do that.
No, they would never let them do
So it's only South African biltong hunters that get to bullshittery. No American hunter in the history of man has ever broken furniture. No American has ever destroyed a room because they got drunk or up something in the lodge because they got a little pissy. That's never happened.
Yeah, I've never seen an American hunter with his rifle go off in the room either.
Are you talking about like pew pew rifle or pew pew rifle?
No, I'm talking pew pew.
Okay.
But I thought South African landowners just hand the keys away to the whole place and let you have it.
Wait a minute. I thought it cost them more to have us stay there.
Right. Apparently they have to buy new furniture after a biltong hunter gets out of there.
We had a big group last year at Conray, which is now used to be owned by Greg Harvey, now is Greg King. Super nice place, done a great job, and I enjoyed it back when Greg Harvey on. But the one thing I noticed, there's cameras everywhere in the lodge. And when the bullshittery starts going on, there's a phone call that comes in like, hey, y'all got to back that shit off. So do those cameras not exist when the biltong hunters are there? Or because I know they were pretty quick to check us up when we started getting a little ornery. And we did. That group got a little ornery. But is it different? Like there's no cameras. They just let them go out on the property and shoot over what they want. And a couple of years before, I'll go back to a story, and I know I'm digressing. There's a fellow that I know. You actually know his brother, Richard Bridger. Used to run Comray for Greg Harvey. And his wife, Shachelle. Very nice people, really liked him. And his brother is Nippy Bridger. Yeah. So you know Nippy.
I know Nippy. Yeah.
I think you may or may not know them. So they had an incident where they had a pet bush pig, Penelope.
Don't kill this one.
Okay, you've heard this, right? So they had some non-biltong hunters, French hunters in. And the PH is like, listen, guys, do not shoot around the lodge. And this is a bush pig. She literally came in. Like, she'd let you pet her. She was a fantastic, weird animal, but fantastic. Yeah. Like, just everybody loved her. French hunters got cocked up, came back in, shot bush pig dead. Graveyard dead right now. Those weren't biltong hunters. Those are international clients. So if we're bad, how bad must these biltong hunters be? If that shit's okay and that flies, how bad can a biltong hunter be?
Yeah. Like I said, I don't want to disparage those guys, and
And God rest her soul, because Penelope Peach, that thing was cool as fuck.
This also proves that they don't need the biltong hunters. If what he's saying is true,
sure.
is that there are lodges and there are guys over there who will only take international clients. Then your entire story about you need these biltong hunters,
right, and the heritage and all that nonsense,
it's horseshit.
It's horseshit,
right?
You can't have it both at the same time.
When I watched this whole thing and got a little upset about it, it seemed to me it doesn't track, it doesn't keep in a lane, and it's just grabbing at straws as you go. You know what I mean? It's like, well, what about this and this and this and this? It just didn't make any sense. It didn't flow. It's not like, okay, let me make my argument. Let me give my opening statement, give you the meat of it, and then have a conclusion. I didn't get that with this. Sorry, Dylan, but it's all over the place.
Well, I mean, it was AI scripted. He's literally reading it off his own, so I can understand how that got a little out of hand. But so okay, the gist I got from that are biltong hunters bad, international hunters good.
Yeah.
Because that goes on with biltong hunters.
Because of money.
Because of money.
Well, no, that's not. He didn't say money.
It's conservation.
I'm saying money.
He just classified an entire group of hunters in South Africa as debauchery and
Hellions.
bullshittery and everything else, and that's why I don't even know what is the that's why for.
I don't know.
There was no that's why. That was just a random point about biltong.
Well, that's what I mean by not tracking in a lane. Like this whole thing, I can understand that. Like,
hey, how many biltong hunters do you think there are compared to Americans that go over there every year? By the way, just curious.
Oh, no clue.
Probably. I mean, there's a lot of South Africans that hunt.
Oh yeah.
So did he just say he doesn't give a shit about his countrymen, and he just threw them all on the bus?
I think what he was trying to say is to be a good steward of the farm, of the environment, of the animals, and representing South Africa, and trying to do that. But in doing so, he basically said, "Y'all are a bunch of heathens, and you ruin everything, and you cost a lot of money."
And I'm here trying to defend this culture,
right?
And you're not making it easy for me to defend.
But then I think I scratched my head and I said, "Man, broken furniture, broken glass. Sounds like that costs money." So you would think you would charge your biltong hunters more to cover the perceived losses that you have.
Well, you would think. But his calculator doesn't work the same way ours does. Oscar's already shown that. Oscar, you got something real quick, or are you just still commenting?
No, I'm looking at all the comments and everything, and kind of going off Murray's thing, is you can't start off like, it's our heritage. We deserve to be able to hunt. But then when we are allowed to hunt, we blow holes in the walls, and we drink 500
Wait a minute, that's
castle
just our
lights on there. So we need to be
Have
better.
you ever been to deer camp? And I don't know, like anywhere in the United States?
So I don't understand. Like, farmers are saying we don't want SA hunters because they get drunk and shoot things. And we only want American hunters because when they get drunk and shoot things, at least we can charge them. That's fine.
There you go.
I'm okay with that.
But then
that would be a good argument.
But then when they get priced out of the market, he goes, "Well, it's our heritage, and we should not get drunk."
This That exactly right there goes to the entire problem with all of this. Anytime you confront anybody anymore with anything, they're so used to being attacked by people online that they just start throwing out virtue signal excuses about everything. It's conservation. It's our heritage. It's about altruism. We're donating all the meat to an orphanage. It's all this crap.
You say attacks online by everybody. Do you mean the anti-hunters?
The antis, yeah.
It's got to be the antis.
No, the antis.
I've
for
never
sure.
seen aside from, and there are some people that throw some shade at some shit that goes on there, but most Americans don't give them any shit. It's just pat a boy on the back and that a boy and let him do what they're gonna do.
Listen, I don't even necessarily say it's the anti-hunters, because unfortunately, every segment of animal use over the last 20 years has turned on each other.
Sure.
They've all turned on each other.
Yeah.
Everybody is. The zoos turn on the hunters turn on the private breeders and keepers, and they'll turn on the laboratory guys, and they'll turn on the circuses and the show guys, and they'll turn on the working ones, and they all, I'm more ethical than you, what I do is better, and this and that, and they attack each other. And what they've done over the years, you realize these guys are coming for us all. They don't want you to have a pet dog. They don't want me to shoot a whitetail.
Yep.
They don't want any of this.
Well, look what's going on in Oregon right now.
Right. That stands about an ice cube's chance in hell.
I hope you're right, boy.
But my whole point is, these guys have been attacked on social media because they fall into this trap of thinking it's real, that every attack online is real, and they defend themselves with this false virtue that everything has to be a virtuous action. It can't be. It's money.
Yeah.
It can't be. You know why I grow this? Why I have these kudu here? So you can shoot them and I'll make money.
Right. And that's not a dirty thing.
No, there's nothing wrong.
Yeah.
with that.
I think it's
funny because we all, Saltlick got such a lambasting this week by all these people, and it kind of I won't say hurts my feeling, but it makes me a little bit sad because we're all the same, and to your point, it'd be great if we were all together on the same thing. We're just asking a question. I'm not complaining about the price of things. I just want to know where it comes from. I want an honest answer. I don't want platitudes. I don't want virtue signaling. I'm a hunter. I want to shoot things. I want to shoot something, and I want to see it bleeding like crazy so I don't have to go chase after it.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm not going to tell you that lion in the zoo wants to be free, because no, he doesn't.
Nope.
And if we actually got all of the segments of animal use together, the cattlemen, the ranchers, the zookeepers, the circus guys, the pet owners, the breeders, these guys, the outfitters, the breeders, all of them together, and stop fighting with each other, you would be able to concertedly push back without having to make up stories, without having to make up these fantasies about why they do
That's
this.
an entire podcast.
Boy, what
in
a
and of
wonderful
itself,
day
by
that
the
would
way.
be. What a wonderful day that would be, right?
Oh yeah,
But
for sure.
I mean, you can't even get
I'm gonna-
bow hunters and rifle hunters to agree
Oh,
on.
no,
They
no.
fight,
And like I said, that's another podcast in and of itself. I just want to digress for just a second before we move on to the next one. So, from a pure time perspective, if you go back 5 minutes and I'll post all these talking points online too with the transcript, the timestamps, everything. 5 minutes ago, he literally said local hunters were the sacred future of South African hunting culture. 5 minutes afterward. 5 minutes afterward, he says, now they're the drunk Baki. Well, he didn't say this. I'm paraphrasing. He said they're the drunk Baki goblins firing rifles in the lodge and breaking the furniture.
You definitely said that.
I did, yeah. I said I paraphrased. My point is, Lane.
Yeah.
Which is it?
well, it's also that sacred culture.
Yeah, and
Stop.
And don't listen. Don't use bad behavior, local bad behavior specifically, as another smoke grenade for hidden pricing. Don't. That is not the worst argument you could use, but it's
Pretty bad.
Yeah. If there is a risk premium, you're in insurance, right? Call it a risk premium, right? If there is a service premium, you've been in the service business before, call it a service premium.
Mm-hmm.
If it is the overseas hunter pays more and causes less drama. Say that. Okay, fine. We're fine with that.
Yeah.
However, that's not what they're doing. They gloss, smoke, mirrors, pulling the wool over your eyes. Just come out and say it. Move on to the next one, unless you have a comment there that you're looking at that is ripe.
Michael. I'm looking at all the comments.
No, I'm looking at them. I mean, you did bring up that one that I was going to say something about.
From Danny?
I believe that's who it was.
Yeah, Danny Carr.
Yeah, the other one's...
Danny Carr's got skin in the game, so he's allowed to have a comment. All right, move unless Oscar's got one. That's good. Let's move on to the next segment.
What old?
What's that? You got one?
Maybe old Dusty Spencer over here.
Speak up. That mic over there's got to catch you. Speak up. What is it? Do you got one from Dusty Spencer on there?
There were several. It looked like he was going back and forth with someone.
The last one.
The last one.
Okay. He said, I've never been under any illusion I was paying the same as a resident African. I am a guest in their country. I've never been lied to about what an animal is going to cost me after I pulled the trigger. If I didn't want to take an animal, I was the one deciding if I could afford it. This line of discussion just makes Americans sound like the entitled, whiny bitches everyone claims we are.
I will. Well, first off, thank you, Dusty, for your comment. Secondly, what does that have to do with the cost of tea in China? This conversation that we're currently in. Okay, you've hunted with an outfitter that was transparent and charged you what he told you he was going to charge you for.
That's great.
Okay.
I've never had one overseas sneak in extra fees that weren't agreed on beforehand. That has absolutely nothing to do with.
It's not what we're talking about.
They're charging other people a different price, and it's good that you're not under that misconception or whatever it is. But I'll tell you right now, if I shoot that animal and I tell them I want the meat because I have friends in South Africa that want to come get that meat,
They're going to take off.
oh, they have. They have, because the guy I hunt South Africa most of the time with has relatives there. So we've known about this the entire time.
So wait a minute. You mean you pay the exorbitant American price and you can't take meat away like a biltong hunter can?
That's correct.
Well, I'll be darned.
What?
You heard me.
No.
I won't mention which outfitters with an S this has been. But
All right, Michael. Let us move on to the next one. I believe it's clip 11.
Several outfitters, actually.
I've heard stories of outfitters buying quotas on land, on stock farmers' lands, going there, only shooting the top quality bulls and not leaving anything to breed. So the genetics take a pounding.
Okay, that's good.
It gets a little bit questionable.
That's good. All right. So to summarize, an outfitter goes to a farm. He buys the quota. He only shoots the top quality animals. What does that have to do with the question at hand?
let me ask you, what does that even mean?
Well, in that I assume that he's... I don't know. If I'm an outfitter catering to international clients, save American clients, international clients in general, client, I want them to shoot the biggest, most mature animal that they possibly can.
If there's a breeding stock, if there's a bull that they want to keep, they usually have an ear tag.
Put a tag there,
Right.
which they do.
Well,
Right.
most of the time they'll tell you can't shoot that.
Right. Not blue tag number 274. He's off limits.
But once again, back to the conversation that we've had before. I'm going to tell you what. They'll tell me don't shoot that bull over there with the blue tag in his ear. If I pull out my wallet and I start counting out $100 bills, it ain't going to be long before they tell me to pull the trigger.
I'm not going to name names. However, there is somebody that you know that does business with you every year for like more than a decade now that I filmed do that same thing when the PH had to make a phone call, and guess what? There was a price.
Let it go.
Everything has a price, and everything over there is negotiable, which is something else we've talked about. But my only point is this: they're throwing out these words, quotas. Who made these quotas? What quotas do you speak of?
My assumption is the landowner sets a quota on how many you could. But I would also assume.
They're throwing out the word as if it's an official number.
Right.
It's not. Okay, I want to shoot 20 of these kudu off of here because I've got 30 and I need 10 for breeding stock. Okay, so you go out there and you see this absolutely magnificent one that's 62 inches, and he's already hit the 20. I call up the landowner and go, yeah, this guy wants to shoot the 62 inch. 15 grand because I'm going to need to buy another one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There is no, it's not an official quota. Right. It's not like a CITES quota or an export quota or something that's set by a government anywhere.
I've literally seen stock trailers pull in.
Oh, yeah.
And offload new stock.
Sure.
Sables, Roans, Gemsbuck. I've not seen kudu. I've seen Impala. I've seen a bunch of other shit. Seen it with my eyes. Here comes the stock. Now, the hunters that aren't in camp yet don't know that was just delivered, but I clearly know what's going on. And to that point, so that whole comment, that's not a defense of the system. That's an indictment. That's what that is. He just admitted that outfitters, they're buying quotas. They're cherry picking the top bulls and hammering genetics. Okay.
Because they can be replaced with a phone call,
right,
and a checkbook.
The idea that these aren't you're for the most part. Now there are going to be some exceptions, like Jewels of the Karoo and places like that you go to harvest. Like these monster springbuck shit like that, right? That you're going to a game breeder's place and hunting. A game farm is not normally the breeding facility, and if it is, the breeding animals are kept away from the general stock. Now, are there some animals that some outfitters get and landowners that they don't want? Sure, and they'll put a tag in there, and sometimes they'll put a tag in each ear because they want to make sure that animal's not accidentally, if it's quartering one way and you can't see the other tag, they want to make sure that you don't.
Yeah, if they paid $50,000 for a buffalo to breed, you're not going to be able to shoot that buffalo.
Right. And the problem, so my point is,
unless you offer them $60,000.
Don't tell Americans you're devaluing the animal at that point in time. The industry is setting the prices. The industry is setting the quotas. They're shooting the top bulls, and they're creating the pressure. Not us. They themselves are doing it. He just said it. That's what he said. So pointing at the price gap, it's not devaluing wildlife. How does that devalue? The system, as it's set up, is extracting the maximum value for the animal. Mm-hmm. But it's hiding the truth about the math at the same time.
Yep.
Moving on, son. What you got?
Looks like Dustin's just going back and forth with some other people. So
He's just hammering out with other comments. Nothing. What do you got, Oscar? Anything?
Oh, I mean, I'm looking at old Dusty's comments. It's still the same resident versus non-resident.
Where's Dusty from? By the way, where's Dusty from? Is he American?
I have no problem with paying a difference to hunt the state.
Don't do that.
Okay.
I got a problem with the animal.
The problem with the comment between resident and non-resident, okay, is that you have to understand the animals are held in public trust. Mm-hmm. They don't belong to someone who sets the price. Nobody is setting the price on the animal. They're not. They're setting a price on an opportunity to use that public land to pursue that animal. And since it is held in public trust, it belongs to the entire population of the United States under our model. It's not the South African model where that person owns that animal. Set the price for that animal. You can't set the price for a whitetail in Big Cypress.
No.
You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't, unless you put up an 8-foot fence and own the animal. You can't do it here. So it's an entirely different thing.
That's my whole thing. I don't care about getting charged X to hunt, the area. I do have a problem with he paid 300 rand, like we saw 300 rand to shoot a zebra, and I paid $1,800.
Yes.
I do have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I also do. We are going to get into that because that's the gist of the entire podcast. But hit us with the next Dylan segment. Yeah, it should be timestamp 3923. Yep, you weren't quite there.
That's when he lets us know that he's like, it's fine that we are fleecing you.
Yeah.
Yes, South Africans get a completely different price to what the Americans do, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think we deserve a very special place in the industry.
Okay, you can stop it there.
So listen, listen. Hang on. He could have started with that, finished in 10 seconds, and I've been like, all right, that's how you feel.
He could have made it real. Just a quick one.
But the dogs and the fences,
The taxidermist.
the taxidermists and the petrol attendant,
guys.
and the legacy and the
Heritage.
The biltong of everything they touch.
and the broken glasses. And the office pops.
The heritage of shooting guns inside hotel rooms.
So I'm just like, wait a minute, you just submarined your whole thing. It's like, well, we should pay less because we deserve it. Okay, I don't know.
So there it is, right? So,
I commented on that, and he told me, he's like, I didn't understand the podcast.
There's a lot of hours in my life that I've squandered.
That's one.
well, so there it is, right? We're 39:23 in, and finally, South Africans get a completely different price than Americans, and Dylan, he doesn't think there's anything wrong with that. It's fine. But you know what? At least he's honest. He could have saved,
I agree.
He could have saved us 30 minutes and change by just saying that. The however is, now, here's the overarching arc of this podcast. Dylan is chasing clicks, okay? Which is fine. We all do it. We're guilty of it. We do it too. We go to topics that we know are going to interest people. The however, he did more harm to the country in 39 minutes than we'll do in 10 years. In 39 minutes. He can't help himself. Can't do it. This is the guy that after we shot a podcast begged me and cried on the goddamn phone to not release it because he's going to be shunned out of industry in South Africa. Begged me, don't release it. Had to issue a retractment for 2 of the reels that I cut over a 2-hour-long podcast. Don't release it. Still sat on it, didn't release it because he's a pussy. If you are big and bad enough to pound send it. You know what we do? How many podcasts have we ever cut that I retracted anything?
None that I remember.
Oscar?
None.
The filming we do in South Africa, how much shit do I cut out and don't show the whole thing?
None.
I say something and own it. Period. Right? You know what? And if I'm wrong, I'll say, you know what, guy, up, I'm wrong. Right here.
Well, how many people have you seen me go off on online?
Right. And the problem is, it's just like the Sarah video, right? You've got all these people that came on there, oh, Sarah great, Sarah this, Sarah that. Did you listen to anything said? None of it had anything to do with the subject matter. Nothing. Not a single point. Colleges in America.
No, nothing to do with it. But
Wildlife parks in South Africa versus Yellowstone in the U.S.
Right. Has nothing to do with
it. The conservation, how many animals we've grown. You mean how many you've farmed.
We were devaluing her wildlife.
Well, my statement to her of us talking about it isn't devaluing it quite as much as you selling it for a lower price.
That's the point. So obviously, your bottom.
Which one devalues the animal more?
Your bottom.
Me talking about it, or you actually doing it?
That's been my argument the whole time.
Dollar is not your bottom dollar. Yeah. That's your MSRP bottom dollar to Americans.
And like I said, one of the things is they don't want to understand that this bothers us because we don't do that here We are brought up in a culture, you don't do that. That's a bad thing to do. It's illegal in the United States to charge someone a different price. Discriminatory pricing will get you sued to oblivion. So we, the Civil Rights Act was passed long before any of us were adults.
Oh, yeah.
So we just...
Long since codified.
Yeah, to us, that's a bad thing to do. Right. And if they can't understand that that's why it bothers us, and it's why I said to Sarah, you do it because you can. That's okay. Stand behind it. Say that. Tell me I'm a pussy-ass American who doesn't like it, and you're allowed to be prejudiced against Americans. Right. That's fine. That's okay.
And that goes to the point I'm going to make right now. So and I haven't looked at the new stats, but my assumption was by the time we were so close, by the time this podcast is filmed, the Facebook Live, those couple of posts will have seen over 5 million views. Okay? 5 million. How many of those you think come from South Africa? Half? A quarter? A third?
All the comments are.
Yeah,
right.
The comments seem to be a lot of South Africans.
Sure. But how many views? You think we got 5 million followers in South Africa?
That'd be awesome.
Right. So if they're not watching this, who is? Could it be American hunters and international hunters?
Sounds like old Mark is listening on that from Dylan's podcast.
Yeah. So, and my point is, what did they see? What they saw was the mask slip, right? They saw people treating Americans walking ATMs. That's what they saw. They saw arrogance. They saw contempt. They saw Americans can afford it. They saw don't come if you don't like it. How many times did you see that?
Oh gosh.
All the fucking time, right? They saw your currency is stronger. They saw you're devaluing our animals. They saw everything except a answer.
To their credit, there are a few people who we've seen in the comments who actually did say, and that's fine.
So, and I'm going to get to that right now. So, the comments are but on the first two posts, there was 1,524 listed comments that weren't later hidden or retracted. There was like 200 that came back, because you can see when somebody deleted a comment and came back. 1,524 listed comments on the first two posts. We scrubbed it. We used AI, went through everything. There was 11, not 1,000, 11 comments that address the actual transparency issue, which is 0.72%. If I'm generous and count every comment that barely touched transparency in some way, shape, or form, disclosure, hidden markups, itemized pricing, that gets us to 29 comments. That's 1.9%. So even with the softest grading curve imaginable, that's 98% of the captured response dodged question. 98%. Think about that for a second. 98% of the comments dodged question. Dodged it entirely. That's not a small sample group. That's not 5 people. This is thousands of comments now. Mm-hmm. That's one platform. That's Facebook. That's not Instagram. That's not TikTok. That's not YouTube. That's one platform alone.
But that's the automated defensive response of the hunting industry.
Mm-hmm.
It is almost automated at this point.
Yep.
So back to the Dylan thing,
and Pavlov's dog thing.
And for clicks, and not that I want to throw shade at Dylan, but I absolutely am going to now because pussy. So Dylan's podcasts normally get a few hundred views on a day. Most of his podcasts get well under 200 views. Some of them get in the 20s, 30s kind of view. Not hundreds, like 20 views, 30 views. On a good day. That's not shade math. Anybody can go look at Dylan's shit. After this thing came out and I cross-posted video, his video view jumped on this video 800%. You think those are South African? People are watching. Not the people intended. He was trying to suck off South Africans. That's not what he did. He proved a point. Sarah proved it in 2 minutes. He proved it in 40 minutes. And Facebook has now proved it with millions and millions of views and thousands of comments. That's not isolated, folks. Not isolated. That's not a misunderstanding anymore. That is the international hunting customer base watch train wreck. That's what that is. So for you 2,000 people that commented on the first 2 posts, we appreciate it. Even if you're full of shit, we still appreciate it. However, you're the minority of the people that are looking at this shit. You've done more damage to the country in 2 weeks than I can do in years. This was not me. Not me. Sarah posted that shit. I cut a video.
Yep.
You and I talked. I didn't release it. Let it go. It's still cut, right? Sent.
Yep.
Never sent it.
We had let this go.
Done. Then dipshit decides, oh, here's an opportunity. I'm going to be the big guy on campus, and I'm going to address this. Fine. You name me by name, I'm coming swinging. Facts. Not this fence builder, petro guy, biltong hunter shoot glass up in the lodge. Yeah. Facts.
Dogs.
Okay, there was dogs.
Yeah, well,
I'd rather give the money to the...
What are you talking about? This isn't happening. Oh, wait a minute. Why are you noticing that this is happening?
Right.
You're right. This is happening, and it's a good thing.
Yeah.
This is...
I'm paying $20 a day for that Jack Russell.
These are a little bit of, I think they might call it, well, it's gaslighting. It's truth crumbs. Oh my God, it's my first wife. Still hate her to death. Hope she's on fire right now. Oh, I'm sorry. Anyway.
I feel your pain.
Cheers.
You have no idea. All right, so that's the gist of it, right? So my assumption is we've done a more than ample job of debunking every line item that they threw out there. Now, we haven't addressed every single comment, and there was some that were good. And we, regardless, right, wrong, and different, we appreciate the comment. We appreciate you guys following along. But this opens the door, right? So now we're going to go into, briefly, because I think it leads to a bigger issue in that, are we paying too much to go hunt South Africa?
I don't think it's necessarily that we're paying too much. We just want to know where those fees are categorized, and in the trophy fee, and I think we all agree with that, that's not the place to put it. If you're telling me that your expenses are higher, then my day rate should be higher.
Okay.
Like for real, like a South African, an American, a Saudi, a Canadian, we should all pay the same amount in our eyes, because that's our culture. That's how we do it here. The same amount for the trophy fee.
You mean like Zambia, Zimbabwe, Botswana, Mozambique.
Right. And then raise up the daily rate to cover these higher expenses. We understand that. Like I said, we're all businessmen here. We all know how that works.
So what you're saying, at the end of a 7 or 10 day safari, the price is the price is the price. We just don't want to, we're going to pay the same regardless. However, don't try to pull the wool over our trophy fees.
Because it's not difficult to see when you're doing the 3-card Monty and you're able to hide stuff in different places. Don't call it a trophy fee if it's a surcharge for diesel. Don't call it a trophy fee if it's your hospitality rates went up. Put it where it belongs, because again, we're all businessmen, and I run my business on a very fine, margin, and I need to know my overhead all the time. I need to know how much profit I'm making. And if these guys are operating the way that they're professing that they're operating, they're the worst businessmen I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. That's that. Well, and I'm gonna my phone between Messenger and WhatsApp, because I started putting my WhatsApp number in the post, has blown up in the last 2 weeks, especially in the past week. Really gone crazy. And 99% of it is positive, and they're outfitters and PHs that want want transparency. And the arc of all the conversations, the pinnacle of it is they're afraid to step out and say it publicly because they'll be shunned within their industry, and they're scared to say what we are saying. Point being, folks, there's good outfitters out there. But
Oliver.
And this goes.
Oliver from Trophy Destinations has made 4 incredible posts, and Jorge and with his podcast,
and there's
has
also
has highlighted him.
Brad was it Brad Berkowitz too from the Eastern Cape, same way. Yeah, transparency, being honest with people and do it. But that still goes back to. And we've had some internal conversations with other outfitters there that I don't want to highlight here because I don't want to throw them under the bus. But are we paying too much? It still goes back to that. And listen, if you say yes, that's fine. If you say no, that's fine. I know Oscar and I have had this conversation repeatedly. And is there a different way to hunt South Africa? I think the answer is yes. I think it can be done more affordably. I also want to touch real quick, and I know we're going way long on this podcast. I want to, before we get into the economics of what could be done, I want to talk about something that is thrown out there all the time, and that's the idea that every safari in South Africa is 5-star luxury, and you're shit you not. Advertises luxury 5-star accommodation, this and that. Okay, Oscar, you've been to the country several times. Mike, you've been to the country several times. You've definitely hunted more camps than Mike have. How many 5-star accommodations have you ever stayed at?
Now, for me, I've stayed at the Ritz and all these kinds of other
exactly.
places.
So compared to that, true?
Compared to that,
Yeah.
Okay, it is not air quotes 5-star. Now, is it better than me being in a trailer in South Georgia?
Why are you pointing at me?
Because you have a trailer in South Georgia?
Very nice and comfortable.
Wow.
Then
Snob.
But all Americans are rich, so we're.
There's another bus coming in about 10 minutes.
What if I high fence it and put bongos in there? You're not invited.
that's a 5-star lodge for me.
Mike died over there. He's like, this is the greatest thing ever. So
let's not
back
get
to the
started on
point.
budget.
How? Just to answer the question, how many 5-star lodges have you ever stayed at?
None.
How many 5-star lodges have you ever stayed at?
None for sure.
Rob?
2.
Okay. And
In 20 years.
In 20 years. Okay. I've stayed at none. How many?
But by the way, neither one of them exist anymore.
Okay, fair enough. But the idea that
4-star now.
we're being sold a bag of goods about 5-star, a thatch roof, a water heater that works when it wants to, outlets that don't work, and Wi-Fi that is spotty at best, 5-star. Right. I don't give a shit country you're from. The definition of 5-star does not match that. Is the food 5-star? No, it is not. Is it good? Yes. But if you want to try to justify day rates because it's 5-star, you're pissing rope. It's horseshit. There is no such thing. I've been to the hotels in South Africa. You know how many I think are 5? 0.
Yeah, it's a very relative term,
right?
Particularly to us. Once again, they want to compare their standards to ours.
What about Italy? What about Spain? What about Russia? What about France? What about Germany? We all value the 5-star is 5-star. Michelin is Michelin. There is difference. How many Michelin chefs you run into in South Africa?
Just me.
Okay. Are the meals good?
They're great.
Are they 5-star?
No.
Okay. Is your service 5-star?
No.
Is your service 5-star?
No.
Like I said, one was 2010, 2008. The only reason it was 5-star is there were literally only 5 chalets on the place, and they were solid brick with actual wood roofs, not thatched roofs. Each one had its own air conditioner, heating unit, and
did they work?
And water heater. Oh yeah, these were independent, but this place doesn't exist anymore. Like I said, and that was one of the only places. And one of the reasons I would call it 5 stars, they would wake you up in the morning with your coffee in bed. Yeah. excuse me, Mr. Rob, here's your coffee. Your laundry's over there folded. What are you going to wear today? And they'd go in your closet and pull it out. That hasn't happened in 15 years.
If an American can go to Cabo San Lucas, if they can go to any place on the Caribbean and they can stay at a truly 5-star luxury resort for about $250 a day per person, I know that's accurate because I've looked it all up and we averaged it. $250 a day per person, all inclusive. $250. They do everything but wipe ass at that place. Why are you paying $500 a day, $650, 700 days in South Africa for the 5-star experience? No, it's not. Is a thatch roof and a bat shitting on your head at night, is that 5-star? No, it is not. Don't pull the wool over eyes. Is it rustic? Yes. Is it authentic? Maybe. I don't know. It looks cool. I'm walking dirt. I may have a warm meal occasionally. The power may or may work. The hot water may or may work. Does the heat work room?
I'm bringing clothes accordingly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because why?
Because it's cold as shit.
Okay. Because it's 5-star. Don't sell us a bag of horse shit. Say what it is. Is it nice? Yes. Is it rustic? Yes. Is it an authentic experience? Yes. You bill it as 5-star luxury. Not. But Americans, right, we get over there because it's different for us. It's something unique. There's animals outside. The houses look different. The chalets look different. The staff is different. There's all these animals on the wall. Oh, luxury. No, the dirt on the goddamn floor.
It's easier to fool a man than convince him he's been fooled.
100%.
I've been to 5-star places around the world. I've never found one in South Africa yet. And not to say they weren't nice. This isn't me saying there's nothing nice in South Africa. I love South Africa. I love the lodge. We've stayed at some really good lodges. We've made friends with some people with some outstanding lodges. And you know what? They're not 5-star.
They're awesome.
They're awesome, but are they 5-star? No. Now, comparatively speaking, that's where I was going with this. I think there is a market for people that don't need to be billed that luxury 5-star experience. Americans, there is a group of Americans, whether it's on the East Coast, the West Coast, and any place in between, we go to hunting camp, you stay trailer, right? Yep. You stay tent before. Yep. I horses up a mountain and stay tent.
Oh, yeah.
I have no problem with roughing it.
Right.
I've slept in the Everglades.
There is a segment. Now, let's...
They're stronger than me.
Let's for a second say, okay, well, if all of a sudden we're not being charged $500, $600, $700 a day for day fees, and these animal prices are clear across the board, is there not an experience to be had in South Africa that includes some of that?
Yeah. I would personally, I would love to go do that. I would love to go have deer camp in Africa.
Right.
Where we hang around a fire and drink a beer and grill a piece of meat and go to sleep and get up and go hunt.
Well, and listen, if you're aiming for people's money, if you really want to support a ranch, that you wouldn't have half the overhead you have.
Right.
That'd be the way to do it. And not only that, put representative animals on your property. Don't spend the tens of thousands of dollars to get that unbelievable kudu or water buck or whatever it is. But you're going to have a representative, normal animal. You're going to have 40-inch kudus. You're going to have 40 to 42-inch kudus.
Check the comments just to make sure we haven't missed anything.
Yeah. And you want to know what? Market that to the guy.
Absolutely. I think you would open up to such a huge swath of the 16 million hunters here.
Then the welder from Ohio. Then the guy in the gas station down the street.
Yep.
Then my neighbor in Mississippi are not going to be going, I could never afford to go there and do that. These are just normal working class guys, earn $40,000 to $60,000 a year. But you want to know what? If you presented that to him and said, listen, you can go there. First time a guy goes to Africa, you think he knows the difference between a 40-inch kudu and a 60-inch kudu?
And does he give a shit?
You think he knows the difference? First of all, he probably doesn't know what a kudu is before you tell him to look it up. So,
going back to all of our first trips?
Sure.
Well, that's a flaring bull.
Well, no, that little one's a figure 8. He ain't flaring if he's only 44.
But so you would market to them and tell them, listen, we're going to have warthogs there. We're going to have Impala there. They're not going to be. They're not going to.
Blessed buck there. We're going to have Gems buck. We're going to have some spring buck.
We're gonna have all of
and
this.
we're going to have fun.
But I'm going to tell you what. You could walk into camp and come out, and if you told a guy this, if you told an American who was in that financial class, listen, you can come, and you will kill 8 animals for $5,000. 8 animals for $5,000. And that's all you'd have to tell them. All they're going to be is representative. They're not going to be anything other than just a normal run-of-the-mill. None of them are going to be in record books. Not that half of these guys know that Safari Club or Dallas Safari Club or any of these businesses even have record books.
And most of the guys don't give a either.
Right.
I've never had an animal registered for any of the books, and I've been hunting over there for 20 years.
Same.
So if you offered that to guys, and this is a genuine experience, and what we're going to do is we're going to go out, and I'm going to explain to you when you get over there, this is what a typical Impala looks like. So we're going to go look, and we'll drive around for 3 days, and we're going to see plenty of them, and you pick the one that you want to take. How much would it cost you to resupply that livestock? Not much.
Not much.
Not much. Are you going to complain when that guy kills that 42-inch kudu you happen to have out there?
Nope.
No, you're going to charge him that same $1,200 that you charge everybody else.
There is most certainly an opportunity for that kind of business model in South Africa. And I think that's the problem. South Africans are still stuck in the 80s, and they don't understand what hunters want in the U.S. and what we're willing to go through to get it. If you can make it affordable, and when you say $5,000, that needs to be it. No plus. 5 do it. Okay, we're going to go for 5 days or 7 days or whatever. You are writing a check for $5,000. Not plus. That's it.
But you would get 6 guys.
Trip. 8 guys, 10 guys, 12 guys
Right.
that ponied up to do it. 100, and they would have a blast. And you know what? You'd sit around the braai every single night, and you'd cook shot that day.
But not only that, you'd have all the meat from all those animals that you're going to sell. And none of these guys are going to be complaining about anything they have. Listen, in all my time over there, the number one pain in the ass client for most of these guys is the guy who walks
With the tape measure.
Here's my list. I got my tape measure in my pocket, and you're out there glassing. And is that 54 inches or 55? It's 55. I'm sure it's 55. I'm sure it's 55. Bang. Get out the tape measure. It's only 54. I don't want to pay you for that.
Or I'm not going to pay you for that.
Oh. Right?
Sure.
We all know that. We all know that.
Oh, absolutely.
We all know that guy.
Yeah.
And talk to PHs over there. Talk to whoever. But if you want to give an American a trip that they could actually afford, and you would bring money into your country, and you would lower your cost of doing business, your baseline cost, your cost of replenishing your stock, you wouldn't have to worry about your quota that you're setting on your breeding stock, because none of them would have a tag in there. You wouldn't give a shit.
Well, that's volume-based pricing too at that
Sure.
point in time. You're making it, and that rustic, and I think about places like the Western Cape, the Karoo, places like that, the Eastern Cape, free-range places, harder to get to. You got to work for the animals. You know what? That's what those guys want. That's what they work for. Animal. It's
And
fine.
They wouldn't give a damn if they stayed in the trailer.
No, they literally would not give a shit. To paint every American with that brush is horseshit. The vast majority, we already did the math, right? There's 14 million hunters, 13 million hunters, whatever it is. There's 8,000 or 9,000 of us that go a year. Open that up to another just 10% of the hunters. That's 1.4 million hunters that could possibly go now. You can stay busy year around, not just 4 months a year, year around.
And they would be much easier clients than the ones you got.
Yep.
They would be much easier. Now, you want to still have that guy who you're going to charge $5,000 for whatever that is that's going to be a gold medal or whatever the hell they call it. Sure. So you have places that cater to that guy.
Sure.
And then you have others that cater to this.
I think we talked about it the other day, and I used John X as an example, Carl, right? he has built a specific business model around catering to a certain clientele and providing a certain level of service. Great on him. Like, he does something that is like his clients come back and he's got that upper echelon and he stays booked 2 or 3 years in a row. Great. You can have the reverse of that too, that be equally successful. So it's not one model fits all. That's the problem. It's not everybody wants to chase white whale, that guy that's going to come in and shoot 10 buffalo. God damn it. You don't have to shoot 10 buffalo. Instead of booking 4 clients for 7 days, put 12 in there that are $5,000, $10,000. You get a $5,000 package together. Guess what? You get Americans over there. Oh, well, you can, here's the add-ons. If you want to shoot these animals, this is what they cost. You know what they're going to do? Shoot the out of everything because they're already there. That's what's going to happen. Now, there are going to be people with realistic budgets that can't do that. Sergeant Knight that went to, Hunter's Hill with us. He had a very set budget. And there was one animal that he was struggling with, but he saw something else like, hey, they made it work, swapped it out. He was within and Sumner did the math, within $21 of what his budget was going to be for everything.
Right. And that's one of the other things, is, like we said earlier, don't forget when you're over there, everything is negotiable. Yeah. If you don't want that top of the line, if you're not that guy, particularly the first time guys that go over there.
Second time, third time, fourth. It takes a long time to understand.
But if you're not that guy who's walking around with the tape measure in his pocket and wants to put, I want everything on my checklist to go into the SCI Gold.
SCI Gold, yep.
Gold category. If you don't give a damn, then go. Listen, one of the best hunting experiences I had in South Africa was shooting a bush buck off the side of a mountain.
I'm going to tell you the best experience I ever had in South Africa.
And you want to know what? I shot it. It had a broken horn before I even started firing at it.
You had a story, though, didn't you?
But it was old. I mean, this thing was old.
Yeah, it broke its horn fighting. It had a story.
Yeah.
What a great hunt.
Yeah.
The best experience I ever had in South Africa, hands down, and I've got dozens and dozens of safaris under my belt, was last year. Hannes took us to the Karoo, and we hunted a place. I probably shouldn't say its name because other outfitters are going to try and jump in there. Low fence, cattle farm, deep in the Karoo, tall mountains. We stayed in like a farm worker, like not like a farm manager kind of place where there was 2 bedrooms and it did have running water and it had electric, but that was it. We cooked our own meals. We used the same clothes for 5 days. There was no washing. We had to go to a different place if we wanted hot water because there was no hot water there, kind of thing. There was me. There was Emmett Sumner, who had camera duty for that trip. There was the tracker, and there was Hannes. That was it. That was all. There was no farm staff. There was no trackers, skinners, blah, 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 blah. We went out and we cooked our own meals. In there, we did it ourselves. We all pitched in. We cooked. We cleaned. We did everything. We hunted that farm. We had the time ever. And you know how many with this? None. It was hard. We had to climb their roads. And you know what? Time I've ever had in South Africa, right there with that PH, with Emmett, with a tracker, and everybody else. And you know how much we bitched about it? None. You know how much the internet worked? Zero. Hannes had one place where he could get occasionally a WhatsApp message out to our family to let them know that we were alive.
Yeah.
And nobody picked up the phone. Nobody gave a shit.
No, that's not the reason you're there.
It was the best, most enjoyable thing I've ever done in all these trips, and it rustic is putting it mildly. It was more like deer camp in South Georgia or Kentucky or something. Actually, deer camp in Kentucky, we way more amenities. Fuck, our toilet flushes there.
But once again, if you quit trying to put lipstick on this pig and trying to convince me how altruistic and wonderful and conservation minded and ethical and all the rest of the buzzwords they want to throw out that South Africa is, stop for a minute. Look at what hunters actually want. And you wouldn't have to overcharge foreign hunters to that extreme. And you could look at them and say, listen, this is the package we put together and it's affordable for you. And no, if a biltong hunter shows up, he's not going to pay the same price as you are for these animals. But this is a package I put together so that you could come over here and afford it and deal with it.
And folks, just so you know, there are outfitters out there that are already looking into this model, and That's being
Yeah.
drummed up as we speak.
Oh,
So, and there's quite a bit of interest in that shit. But one more thing, and then we'll close out because we've been at this for over 3 hours now, and appreciate everybody's time. First, do we have any other comments that we need to address, or nothing that really sticks out?
He's from Utah, and he agrees that they need a reasonable hunt package at a good price that doesn't include tape measures, and that would be a great business plan.
Dusty from Utah, spot on right there.
Yeah, we got Dusty back on our side.
Okay.
I think it's a different Dusty.
No, same Dusty.
Same Dusty.
Thanks,
Okay.
Dusty.
All right, Dusty.
Dusty, you're all right.
We
Thank
want
you for
to
being
move-
open-minded.
Dusty, thanks for the comment. And trust me, you and I, we're the same people at the
I'm
end
not
of the day.
being as big an asshole as I thought I was.
No. All right. So my last thing is, so from a price perspective, we're going to dive into this, and this is going to lead us into future content, future podcasts. So the if you talk to an outfitter, the outfitter is going to say the reason the prices are what they are is because of the landowner. The landowner is now charging them way more than they did a couple years ago. The outfitter is going to say that, and other people that I've talked to, is that the landowners got greedy and that they all got together and they there's a market for it. This is what we're going to charge, and tough shit. The outfitter will also tell you that if they don't pay those prices, that the outfitter down the road will pay those prices. They're not the only people in the value chain there, though. It starts with the game breeders. So these farms don't just randomly shit out all this stock. It starts with the game breeders. Now, I know this is contentious for you, the game breeder side. It's contentious for a reason, because if you pull up an unnamed person's Facebook or Instagram, for example, and you see these
Particular person.
yeah,
or
particular
whatever.
person, and you see these game auctions where this stock is going for millions and millions of dollars, and people are driving in on, was it Maybachs, and they're flying in on helicopters.
Maybach, helicopter. Yeah.
They're staying in castles, and which that truly look 5-star, by the way. And you've got all these different organizations and all that. So my question is to you guys: where are these prices coming from? Are they coming from the game breeders? Are they getting out of hand? And I can tell you for a fact, and I'll throw this up on screen. One in particular, I don't know if it was Wildlife Ranch in South Africa or another one, where this guy gets up and he pounds pulpit and he says, well, Americans can charge $30,000 for a kudu. We should be able to do the same thing.
That's a mistake.
Yeah, I would say so. I'm going to show this. I'll cut this in right here so everybody can see it, because I actually saved it. So is it the game breeders? Is it the game farmers? Or is it the outfitter? Where is this escalation in price from, say, if we did the math the other day, I think we looked at 2016 through last year, and there was it 40% or 50% increase overall? And we just looked at game prices, not day fees. Was it roughly 10 years?
Oh, wait. You got to include the American hunter in there. Because there are guys who will go over there and tell you, I want this, and I will pay whatever you want. That tape measure guy,
Yeah.
Yep.
he's part of the reason why some of these prices are driven up, because the other part of it is
How many of those are part of the actual equation, though? So as
more than you'd like to know.
Well, because everybody's vying for that guy.
Yeah.
They want
Well,
that guy.
it's not
well, the
only-
outfitters are definitely vying for that guy.
Okay, it's not only that. If you have enough trips where you go in small parties, and I know you guys like to go in large parties.
Yeah, we do.
But if you go in small parties, and particularly if you go alone on enough trips, you'll be in camp with at least one. There'll be one in every camp. The guy is doing that, and he does not care. And that tends to give the impression to a lot of these outfitters that Americans are all like that.
But out of the Dillon's number, the 8,000 to 9,000 Americans that hunt there every year that make up 90% of their GDP.
I would say 10%.
Okay, 10. So it's not 30, it's not 40, it's a very small percentage.
90 to 80 people. 80 to 90 people.
80 to 90 people do that.
Yeah, but that's
split up
enough.
between several different
But
outfits.
those 80 or 90 guys, they're loud. They want to be seen. They
They're
want
loud.
everybody to look at me. Look what I did
Right.
today.
It's like I said, it's the guy at Dallas Safari Club who's paying $200,000 for a tag.
Well, and listen, and there are outfitters in South Africa that cater specifically to those guys, and that they will travel to whatever farm that's got a 66-inch kudu to go shoot that kudu out of a 20-hectare paddock.
I get it, but the problem is that we are also those guys also lead them to believe that all of us that a large amount of us are like that.
Okay, but let's take those guys out of the equation, right? Let's say that the other 90%.
I mean, I'm just being honest about it.
No, and that's true. But realistically, the 90% of us that are left can't afford that shit. Okay, so where is the price discrepancy? Is it the game breeders? Is it the farm owners, or is it the outfitter? Who's making the biggest margin? And you can say you don't know the answer.
Oh no, I absolutely don't know.
I don't know the answer. I can tell you specifically when I see Maybach helicopters flying in and game functions in a castle, I have a strong opinion where I think some of it's coming from, because I don't farm owners doing that shit. But you tell me.
I think it shifts over time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think it literally shifts over time, because it's just like years ago when the black Impalas and the rest of these color.
We talked about that yesterday.
Color morphs or whatever. So those guys get riding high on the hog there for a little while, and then
now it's dappled Impalas and all this other shit.
That shit crashes when all of a sudden everybody goes, this is some melon.
A pited Impala or some shit.
Whatever.
Yeah.
So at first, when they're first on the scene, the novelty causes the price to go up. Then everybody gets in, and all of a sudden you got black Impalas coming out of your ass. Mm-hmm. You couldn't find one in 500 miles last year when you were here. Today, you can't drive down the road without being offered 10 of them at 1/3 the price that they were before, and come back next year, and you know what it's going to be? It's going to be, please shoot one.
Yeah, I was in a camp in northern Limpopo along, I believe it was the Limpopo River, almost to Botswana. Like, we were getting Botswana towers for our cell phones. And they had black Impalas there. This particular farmer had black Impalas. They had a breeding program there. And I think they started at like 10 grand. And this was back in the day. Mm-hmm. I think they're sub $2,000-ish now. Does that sound right?
I did see one outfitter the other day listed a black Impala for like $1,800.
Yeah. So let's call it $2,000, whatever.
Yeah, but so those guys were making large amounts of money on that during the heyday, but then it shifts back, and whoever the breeder is or whatever that comes up with the next novelty thing that catches on.
But look at the wildebeest, for example. How wildebeest are there now? That's a perfect example, not to mention the springbucks, but the wildebeest are really a prime example. When I first started going to South Africa, there was two, and we heard grumblings of a golden that was out there. Never saw one. Now all of a sudden, goldens were there. Oh, now you got a royal. Now you got a king.
Kings.
Now you got a Seretse. You've got a this and a that, and
it's all the same damn thing.
Yeah. Well, sables now too. What is it? Is it the royal sable now, or whatever that thing is?
Yeah,
so
regal sable or some shit. Yeah.
But it's all marketing. So whoever's got the leg up in the marketing at the moment, who's supplying whatever these people are willing to pay a premium for, I think you'll see the game breeders do it, and then when the farm owners are overstocked with something, the game breeders start losing money, so they shift to something else. And while in that transition, they're not making as much as the farm owners, because now the farm owners have the stock and they're selling it to the hunters. Until that levels off and the hunters are sick of buying that particular, they're not chasing it, the novelty's worn off.
Yeah, and the market's saturated with it.
Then they've got these basically worthless animals until that game breeder comes up with something else that's now hot on the market, and the game breeders are now making more money. So it's kind of sinusoidal.
Yeah. So
Dusty's on one right now.
He really is. He's getting it.
He's on it.
Or is he upset with us?
No.
He's back to.
No, I mean he's his point now is basically they're seeing, Gim's book in Texas going for $10,000-$15,000 bucks. Mm-hmm. And we can shoot one in South Africa and Namibia for sub 2,000. So, I'm sure that these outfitters are saying, well, if they can pay $15,000-$20,000 in Texas, well, then they can pay that in South Africa.
And I'll let me hit this one first, Rob.
Well,
and then you can
I
go
got
to-
one point.
Okay, go.
I got one point. And I go, let's invert. Yeah, I know. Dusty's on it. Let's inverse that. How much does a 300-inch whitetail in South Africa cost?
10 billion rand.
Yeah. Well, aside from that, I can go to New Mexico and I can shoot a gemsbuck for $400.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that does exist. What I would tell Dusty is I'll go back like 3 podcasts. Look at what's happening closely in Texas right now, and it's not just Texas; it's throughout most of the southeast United States and getting up to the Midwestern states. The exotic market's blowing up in the U.S. These guys are spending money and they're breeding like crazy. So the prices that you're seeing today compared to 5 years ago, right? We are going to have so inventory, and I don't know if it's 5 years away. I don't know if it's 10 years away. I don't know when it's going to happen. It eventually is going to be more cost effective to hunt in the U.S. for those same animals than it is to go to South Africa.
We saw it. We saw that sable sell for $8,200. 46-inch sable in Texas.
Yeah.
What's a 46-inch sable cost in South Africa?
About that.
Nah, it's got to be.
What's the meat cost? If I can shoot one in Texas, get
And
a couple
have-
100 pounds of meat.
Yeah, that's
several
the other
hundred
part.
pounds of meat. Right. That's
and
great.
not have
But-
to take a flight over there.
Right, but to Dusty's question,
West Palm Beach to Dallas is what, $150?
and it's direct too. You can take a direct flight there. Like for us, it's nothing. We can fly direct to Houston. We can fly direct to
Not
Dallas.
only that, I can just get in my car. Yeah, and drive.
Yeah, but to Dusty's
not
question,
worried.
yes.
But what about the gas attendant putting all the gas?
I'm trying to talk nice to Dusty. Shit. He stuck with us this whole time. So you are right. That's probably what they cost right now, though there is much cheaper places than whatever farms you're looking at. Gemsbuck normally aren't $15,000 in the U.S. or $10,000. They can be had for much cheaper. I think actually in Florida you can there's several ranches that you can get them for cheaper than that. So now, are you going to get a 42-inch or a 44-inch Gemsbuck for that price? Probably not. That's not going to happen. However,
And they have introduced ones in the wild in New Mexico.
yeah, no, I know. And there's that's a whole nother podcast because they're going wild there. But eventually, and I'm not saying 10 decades, I'm saying within the next 5 to 10 years,
Yeah.
Texas is going to, it's not just Texas. The Florida exotic market is crazy. The biggest breed of bongos in the U.S. it's in Florida, right? Yeah. No? Okay, whatever. You would know better than us. Anyway.
He doesn't breed them for hunting facilities. He breeds them for zoos.
Oh, okay. Well,
He
that's
actually flew out reintroductions to Congo and a couple other places.
Is that the one that was in the news? That guy?
yeah. So, but the point being,
4? Oh, you.
let's
Four out of
say
here, 4 out of Chicago.
let's say for example, it's $5,000 more for the same exact five animal package to go to Texas, right? What would you go to South aside from the authenticity of it, the chalets, the shit like that to kind of get in,
The Hemingway experience.
which does exist.
Which Hemingway didn't hunt in a high fence, so.
Well, I mean, not only did he do that, he didn't drive by all these districts and watch people
He
wipe
didn't take
their
a-
ass plastic bag either. That's the other thing people need to realize when they go to South Africa. Though it's not a third world country, once you get out of population centers, third world country, and you're going to see some shit that's going to offend people. I'm just going to tell you right now, it is not fucking nice there. There is some places your PHs will take you on purpose. There's some places I've been to that my PH taken me that I had no business going, but it is what it is.
It is.
But you're saying that about Texas, and I know for a fact there's huge farms in Mississippi, there's huge farms in Alabama, there's huge farms in Georgia, there's huge farms coming up in Tennessee. There'll be large ones in New Mexico.
Oklahoma is a big one.
Oklahoma's going to be
Oklahoma.
another one. It's a little bit cold, but there's some other ones all along all the Gulf states. Every Gulf
Florida.
state. Oh, I said Florida.
Yeah, Florida's a big one.
But Alabama's huge.
Yeah.
Alabama is got a huge one. Mississippi has a couple of fairly large ones that are coming up. But all of that. And remember, those guys start growing that game. It's a competitive market. If you can't get somebody to shoot it for $10,000, in about 2 years, that animal's going to be worth $2,000.
Yeah.
Because you want to know what? They'll take the $2,000.
And from a genetics perspective, they've got the genetics.
Oh yeah, well,
I'm looking at because of Brian, I've started to follow the auctions and everything now. Dude, they've got 60 plus kudu on market. They've got 46 cents Gemsbuck. They've got 26 Impala. They're just stupid shit. Like in South Africa, you'd give your left nut to be able to hunt. They're on auction day now.
Yeah, well, the other thing that they'll do here that they don't do in South Africa is they will artificially inseminate and they will save the semen. They will freeze the semen and keep it here.
Yeah.
Because the AZA has been doing that for decades.
Yep.
They don't AI in South Africa. Is that another thing?
As far as I've ever heard, I don't think so. I don't know many of them that are. But that's why they're paying that amount for that breeding stock. But just understand, we have banks.
That's a good point. Yeah.
We have banks of that stuff. And a breeder doesn't need to pay for a 60-inch kudu.
You could just get a straw.
He can just get a straw.
Right.
And artificially inseminate one of his does.
Is there anything or any comment that we haven't responded to that we need to? Is Dusty still at it?
No, hey, listen, Dusty, we hear you, buddy. On there, he thanked us for adjusting his comments.
Okay. What is it, Michael? You got another one?
No, it was just the thanks.
Okay, perfect. Is there anything that we didn't get to that we wanted to? I know Rob's got like that. We barely broached anything with Rob.
Well, yeah.
He's a wealth of knowledge.
I just quickly, I wanted to address a couple of the comments from the social media that I got involved with and got a little heated about charter fishing.
Let's do that.
And the two-tiered pricing system. Charter fishing is a terrible business. I can tell you that because I've been in it most of my adult life. And you're always one breakdown away from tragedy with a boat and with an operation. And for someone to get online and tell me that locals get charged less on a charter boat, if that's the case, that guy's a moron and he's not going to be in business very long. Now, is there off-season pricing when there's nobody around and chances are the people that are around are locals? Yes, that probably happens. But as far as, what did I get called? A keyboard warrior? Bitch, I've been by more sea buoys than you've been by foam poles. I don't want to hear it.
I actually, there was somebody that I know from South Africa that commented that was kind of back and forth with you on that, and I reached out to them privately. I'm like, dude, you got to let this go. That guy knows more about charter fishing than you do about hunting South Africa. You better can that shit. Now.
I didn't want to turn it into a dick measuring contest. I didn't want to be like I've fished every ocean in the world, which
but you
I have. But the point of it is just trying to say, I was trying to make a point from a world that I understood. The price is the price is the price. Is it negotiable? Yeah. Yeah, it is, depending on the situation. But I don't see a guy walking on the dock and go, oh, look at this African. I'm going to fleece him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see a client and come on board, And then the other thing was, what do we do in the off season? Well, like I said, charter fishing was not a great business to be in.
Well, you guys commercial fished a bunch in the off season, right?
I held several different commercial permits, and I fished my ass off, and I went commercial fishing. Hey, I love to fish. If it's got fins, I want to catch it.
No.
And I was able to supplement my income by selling fish, all kinds of fish, king mackerel, some bottom fish, whatever the permits. I couldn't sell grouper and snapper. That's a whole nother issue. But, all kinds of fish, lesser jacks, kingfish. I used to participate in the bluefin tuna fishery back in the day when it was worth money. Don't believe that show. They're not worth squat anymore. I did a little bit of sword fishing. As a kid, I dug clams for a living. I've been involved with it for a long time.
I love a good clam bake.
Oh, my gosh. But, so, it got my goat a little bit. People, I know they pay less. Listen, if you can get a discount, good on you. But day in and day out, we're not paying the gas attendant or the dogs, and it's a bare bones thing, and it just
poor dogs.
My Labradors are going to be very disappointed.
And
my beagle's pissed.
It's also
you shit in the cockpit, you cut off.
it's And I agree, it's hard for us to understand. And I guess that's the biggest point is from Americans, there is no two-tiered pricing here. That doesn't exist.
Discriminatory pricing does not exist in the United States.
So the fact that it happens over there, you should be aware of it. Like it's a thing.
Sure.
Like Americans should be cognizant. And you know what? Everything's negotiable in South Africa.
Well, but
And the more you know.
and I think one of the things that I'm saying is this is why I said this is unbelievable that I'm one of the most reasonable people on the podcast at this point. But I think that the South Africans
Zing.
need to look at you at the same time and understand the cultural perspective that I've hammered home more than once. We don't do that over here. We think it's wrong. That's why we keep bringing it up. And that's why people keep asking. And if you give the honest answer of because we can, because we do it to everybody, because everybody who isn't a South African, we stiff them. Hey, you know what? If that's your business model, that's fine. I can understand that, but be honest with us.
Right.
Don't give us all this colorful language and
Sure.
taglines.
Platitudes and talking points.
Correct.
Yeah.
And don't try and excuse what it is for something else. Listen, there's nothing wrong in business with making money. I may charge Sean more for his trophies now that I've been. I don't know.
That's probably going to happen. Hey, listen, Creswell shit is literally in the barn right now.
You act like I even invoice you anymore. I Ryan takes care of all that shit. But understand there are cultural differences. They're trying to fawn off these cultural differences on the hunting culture there. Mm-hmm. Understand, we're coming from a different culture as well.
Sure.
So when we ask this question, it's not because we're just being dicks about it. It's because this is something completely foreign to us. It is completely foreign. And so if you just approach us honestly, Americans are brash, Americans are harsh, Americans are a lot of things, but they don't like to be spoon-fed bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got anything?
That's very well put.
No.
You said all you got to say?
I've never argued that listen, I hope everyone makes as much money as possible. I've never argued the fact that they shouldn't make whatever they're going to make. Listen, just be honest.
That's it.
It's all to me, it just comes down to honesty. I don't care. Listen, don't talk to me about exchange rates and economics and all that shit. That doesn't have anything to do with it. Just be honest with me. I don't want to come back and be like, damn, I had a great trip. I spent $20,000. And then all of a sudden I'm reading on the internet. I was like, well, actually, this guy over here, he spent $4,000
For the same thing.
I'm like, what?
Right. As a consumer, I don't care where you're from, that hurts. And again, that's not good business in my eyes, because once you feel that sting of like, whoa, somebody else got a really better deal, I'm not going to go back with that outfitter I went with. You know what I mean? That's going to hurt them, because I'm not coming back to that. And I'm going to start asking the questions that we're asking right now, all of us. And, therein lies the rub. We get to,
And the guy that gives you the honest answer, you'll go to him even though you're paying the same amount.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
It doesn't matter. And some of the comments were like that, like, just like, hey, we would charge this. And I'm like, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't care if you said, listen, I charge a South African guy $10,000 and you guys $13,000 for a buffalo.
And I think, and there were several good comments. They like it,
Sure.
but not a ton. I did the math. There was not a great bit of them. Most of it was bullshit, and you could tell the people tied to the industry. And like I said, it wasn't about outfitters. We weren't trying to throw outfitters under the bus. There's a discrepancy there. People can see it. Stupid. Let's address it and done with it once and for all. Sure. Instead of trying to pull the wool over eyes.
Right, because if you start making excuses and throwing out bullshit to me, that means everything that comes out of your mouth, I'm going to question.
Question everything, 100%.
Once you put doubt in my mind, now I have a scrutinous eye.
Yeah. The other thing that I want to address specifically is because Saltlick as a group, right? We've been going to South Africa now for years and years and years and years, and every year we take several groups. And I've got the bashing, the you hate the industry, you're just out there for clicks, you're this or we're already booked for 3 years out. 3 years out, groups every year. And it's not like the three of us go, and that's the other thing. Oh, you guys are just in it for comp hunts and this and that. Hey, when do you ever get a comp hunt?
No, we don't do it.
You got a comp hunt. And what do we tell people? No.
No, we don't want to do it.
We do not want to. Not.
For the same reason we don't want sponsors.
Yes, we do not want to get into that bullshit. For that reason right there, because I can sit here with a clean conscience and defend it. I've never taken a handout from South Africa. Never will. But you know what? We're going back.
Yep.
Going back year after year because we love South Africa.
You know what else I love? I love this Bacardi and Yeho made by Bacardi Rum.
I will sit here and tell you and tell anybody out there that's listening. I don't give you discounts.
Yeah.
I do not discount anybody in here. We'll sit at my office and talk. I might make you a coffee if you're lucky. But that's about as much as you're going to get out of me as far as business goes.
I did blow up your shitter a couple weeks ago.
Oh, my God.
That's your problem.
There's that.
Yeah. But it's because I don't want you to be beholden to me. That's one of the things I actually like about this. And I disagree with you on many things, many times.
Yes, you are one of the biggest guys on there that will call out. If I say something that's not right, you're not a cheerleader. You'll get on call it out. I will give you props to that. That's what you'll do.
And I stand behind everything I say.
Yeah.
I don't care. I mean, I'm an old man now at this point. I'm trying to retire. So I don't give a shit whether you like me or not. I haven't for a long time.
That's why we're not getting a discount. He's got to crest that nut first.
No.
Can I pay you in rand?
Paid for. What?
Can I pay you in rand?
Yeah, that'd be nice. But I had a taxidermist that actually did that for years and years, and then she died.
But going back to the Saltlick thing, right? That's the thing that people don't understand. It's not the three of us coming. I'm taking dozens people every year. I'm not asking for discounts. I'm exposing people to what South Africa is and what it can be. And when I and that's the thing, I don't hunt with the same outfitter. I'm not that guy. I hunt with different outfitters every single year, and I will go hunt with them first before I bring my friends and family. I am not a booking agent. You're not a booking agent. You're not a booking agent. We're not going to do that. If we find a good place that we go to on our own and we have a good time, all right, guys, hey, we got the outfitter. He's going to make us this package. Would you like to go? We had a good time. Here's the pictures. Here's a video from last year. Go and do it. Great. Nobody in my group ever has bitched about Bill on the final day. That's not exactly true. It did happen once. However, 99% of the time, that does not happen. We've never had an outfitter that's been dishonest with us. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Now there has been occasion where we've had a PH that wasn't necessarily honest about some shit, but that was I've never had it happen. I don't think you've ever had it happen.
No, we've always been proactive. How many guests have I found that literally have, Oliver had made sub 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. Yeah. We brought him on the podcast. I think he did 15, 20,000 views on there. We're good friends. Like I see everybody's podcast. I see everything on YouTube and everything. I want you guys to come. We grew the channel to what it is to try to get as many people to come to South Africa because we love hunting that country.
I've seen more dishonest guides in America than I've ever seen outfitters in South Africa.
I would also agree with that. I've had some horrible experiences in America. Yeah. And not with a pricing thing, just experience, and it was billed as something and you didn't hosed. Yeah, that is definitely a thing.
I've been in South Carolina deer camp where I didn't even get out of the car for more than 30 seconds before I turned around and left.
Michael, do we have any other comments that we need to? You got one. Okay.
Stephen Woods. To have a meaningful podcast on the subject, I would say you need to have a lot more role players from the industry, from skinners, trackers, kitchen staff, PHs, landowners, etc. This will give you more of an idea of what's going on here. Also remember that the market will take care of itself.
Okay, Stephen, I appreciate the comment. However, if you want me to get skinners, trackers, weights, cooks everything else. Do any of you speak Afrikaans?
Or Cosa.
Yeah,
Cosa.
the Cosa. Yeah.
Cosa.
No.
Cosa.
And also, we're not in Africa right now. We could do it in Africa. We could get the whole staff to sit down.
We have done several podcasts from Africa, and the staff does not sit down.
Yeah, they don't want to.
I'm just curious what Skinner sets prices.
Yeah, that has nothing to
Yeah.
do. I appreciate the comment, but that's not a realistic thing. If you want to get outfitters from the U.S. and different guides and people like that, we could probably make that happen. But the outfitters themselves are never going to let those people speak on camera.
no.
It's never going to happen, and not that, and they don't have anything to do with the pricing anyway.
Nope.
If you want to talk about, you know what, I do have one more thing to talk about before we get off here. Let's talk about tips real quick because that's something we talked about in this.
Yeah.
How much do South Africans tip on a biltong hunt?
I wouldn't know.
Do South Africans tip?
I'm going to guess it's a round number.
It is. I would. Yeah, round number. So I've been told for over a decade that tipping is not part of the South African culture. I've also been told, and this is going to piss everybody off, that tipping is not expected, but it's appreciated. If that is the case, how many lodges have you been to that have a tipping guide sat there in the lodge in your room?
Mm-hmm.
You? How many times? Time. It's not expected, but it's appreciated. Well, why would you put a goddamn piece of paper in there? So, South African biltong hunters, right? They're paying 200, 300, 400, 500% less than us on trophy fees. Day fees, 800% and up, less. Similar accommodation. They tip.
Right.
And they keep the meat.
And they keep the meat. But we're the assholes in this.
For asking the question.
We're the assholes in this for asking a question. I know several outfitters that hunt people from Europe. Guys don't tip.
No, they don't tip.
They just tip. And you know what? They're fine with it. It's okay. No problem. But we're expected as Americans to tip. And they're going to say, ran into that last year, a tip thing.
Oh, yeah.
And that was an eye-opening experience.
It wasn't me. Again, it was that PH and his hunter. His hunter was upset because he had a package and two animals in one day stepped out that weren't on his package. And he said, "How much is that?" And he was given a price, and he shot and killed each one of those animals. And then the invoice was substantially higher than the verbal price given. And I was standing right there when the guy said, "You told me that animal was $3,200." And he said, "No, I said $3,900." And then he said, "Then why does it say $4,100 on the invoice?" And I was just like, whoa. And that guy got pissed, and he did not tip him. And you could have seen the fire coming out of that guy's, the PH's ears. So I didn't realize it at the time, but afterwards, when we were at SCI and talked to some people, it was brought up again.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, but it is interesting that as Americans, we are expected
Right.
to tip. Mm-hmm. And tip well.
Yeah. Well, you go into a like you stop to have lunch or something at I go to all these little pubs and little places and shit like that, and there's South Africans around and everything else, and I watch them walk out and they're tip or anything, and well, we're going to tip. And most of them have credit card machines, and there's a tip line there, but South Africans just tip. Americans do. And so that's my point. There's this other revenue, and it's not even, it's expected, and it's given to you by the day per individual what you tip. And just because we're a tipping culture and we tip here for services doesn't mean, so, okay, I'll say, you know what, guys, if y'all want to save $3,000 or $4,000 a trip, tip, because it's not expected over there, and nobody else does it. We're the only culture that does it. So you want to save a shitload of money? Tip. How about that? But we're not like that because we tip in service. If we had a good time, they showed us a good time. Tip.
Well, for as much as we don't like culturally to be charged a different fee, we also culturally tip.
Right.
We feel an obligation to tip.
Right.
But now
I got a biltong hunter right here. We do tip the trackers and the cleaners, but not the PHs. They charge the rate, and that's what we pay as biltong hunters.
Okay, so how much do you tip a tracker?
That's
or
a great.
skinner?
Was that a recent comment?
Yeah, just now.
If you're still out there watching, please let us know. You can give it to us in RAM. We can do the conversion. How much you tip the trackers and the skinners? I would be curious to know that, because I know exactly how much we tip trackers and skinners, because I'm the one that made the list and put it out on YouTube for the
Hell,
world.
we got a whole video about it.
Yes, literally. Yeah, but we hate South Africa. However, I've got an hour-long video that breaks tipping down from the time you get on the plane to the time you leave, and everything you should be expected to tip, but it's not expected. So
Fuck, I probably violated that a million times.
Oh yeah.
we all do, because we tip based on the service we receive, and that's our culture. But once again, that's an added revenue stream. And to say it's not expected is horseshit. If it's not expected, then why list in your room?
Yeah.
Then pre-trip, and I don't what outfitter it is now, they all do it. Oh, okay, here's what you should expect. Here's what you should back. Oh, here's what you should expect to tip. Mm-hmm. Are you going to send that to, I don't know, a French hunter, a Spaniard, an Italian, a Norwegian that comes over? They're going to tell you in a goat ass. They don't give a rat's ass.
They're going to be insulted by that.
Yes. No.
What do you mean, tip?
Yeah, that's not a thing. Like
included in the price.
We're paying exactly. We're paying for a service already. We expect you to meet your obligation.
Yeah. Exactly.
How much? I mean, what's a couple $1,000 every time?
Oh.
$3,000?
Probably $3,000 at least. Yeah.
Whatever it says in the video is what I tip.
So, based on, and that was based on a 7-day trip. We're normally on a 10, a 14, a 21, or whatever the hell
You're
it
looking
is.
at 5,000 easy.
I was there for weeks last year. What do you think?
Yeah. Sure.
It wasn't $3,000. Tell you that. To 5 different outfitters. 5. So, all right, folks. Well, we appreciate it. Don't see that comment back in yet. Appreciate all the comments on Facebook Live. This was our first one. I think it went pretty good. I actually like this format. Michael, thanks a bunch for being there. And to everybody else, live free, hunt hard, and keep chasing that adventure. And we're out.